Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. How you doing? It's hump day. It's absolute hump day, and Jim Goodall is going to be here. Yep, little Jimmy Goodall is here, and he's going to rough up our edges, ruffle our feathers, and tell some Bob Lazard UFO and Black Project stories with us. Dirty Filth is here as well with another creepy cartoon, and little Timmy James is here. He's in studio right now. He'll be in for the UFO report a little bit later. But first, we have to say hello to each and every one of you. We have Race Fan in the gold medal position. Ruth Kleber with a nice silver medal tonight. Robert Lamoth taking home a bronze medal. Hi, Michael Morris in Eternity Eternal. And Karen in the Woo Train. How you doing? Road Flare and Mama Catherine. Mwah! Love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you're feeling better. And I hope the capsicum pills are working for you. Please let me know. Abbott Hoffman, good to see you. Brown Dwarf, Mel WD40, currently lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want that rigidness. It never feels good if it's rigid. You need smoothness. That's why we lube up each and every night. So thank you, Mel, for that. JSCO is here. JSCO will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Good morning, Major Lee. How are you? Number 36 in your program, starting at right wing tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jonsson, scheduled for 14 goals, 34 assists. They peg him at that before the season starts. T-Bone, my man, what's happening? Hi there, Dragonfly. Nice to see you. Noble Patrick and Tim Mothman in his goatee, two separate entities, one special person. An even more special beard. Magnus Vermagnuson is here. Magnus will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Let's continue on with our roll call here. We got Philip Backanuts. What's happening? And who's next? Well, let's take a look. Ozzy is next. There he is. Give us a wave, Ozzy. How's tomorrow looking? Give us an update. Am I alive tomorrow? Please let me know. Hi, Sensational Shelley. How are you? W. David Page. Resonate. Good to see you both. Warden Dragon. Hellion Beast. What's happening? Little Cam over on Twitch. He did 2,486 jumping jacks in 7.4 seconds. 7.4. That man was moving faster than the speed of sound to get all those jumping jacks in 7.4 seconds. Wes Decker, Area 53, how are you? Paulie Rotterman, nice to see you. Contrary One, nice to have you here. So we continue on with our roll call. There's our man Digger Dog. How you doing, buddy? Michael Fontaine, Kurt M. Good to see you both. As we continue on with our roll call, John Jackson is here. So is Richard Minnick. Good to have you here. And because I do it every night, Kurt M. again. For some reason, I always say his name twice in the lineup. I don't know why, but I just do. All right. Pam Harris, nice to see you. And who else is here? Christine Lynn. Deidre, the Vancouver Islander hippie, who wears Birkenstocks. She's here. And I'm going to just call her Birkenstock Deidre from now on. Let's go here. Hold on. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. You're in for a treat. Legendary aviation historian Jim Goodall is here with another great story or group of stories to tell us all about what's flying in our sky. We are in roll call right now. So just sit back, relax. We're going to wrap this thing up and get going here in about 30 seconds as we next say hello to... Well, let's scroll on down. W. Decker, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much, my man. And I think it's the Texas hat. It is, isn't it? All right. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hi, Sensational Sherry. Nice to see you. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out, Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show listed for you tonight. Aviation historian and great friend of Spaced Out Radio, Jim Goodall, is here. We're going to break down everything from Bob Lazar to UFOs and so much more. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller is back with another spooky story. Tim James has a boatload of UFO information on the UFO report. You know, you talk about legends. And our next guest, I know he hates it when I say this, but I really don't care. I'm the man in front of the microphone, and I could say what I want. This is my show. Jim Goodall, I've known for about 4 or 5 years now. And I will tell you, from the instant that I met him, we have been friends. He has come to every SOR fan party to hang out with our fans and our great, great team that we have. He is somebody who is considered in the aviation world one of the foremost experts on black projects, stealth technology, what's happening at Area 51. And I'm going to get him to tell a story about Area 51 because this guy's pretty, I probably shouldn't say this on radio, but I will. He's pretty badass. And we're going to get into his Area 51 stuff. We're going to talk some UFOs and just let this fly wherever it goes. Pun intended with letting it fly. We are just going to let it fly. I love this man. He is a hero of mine in this field. He is somebody who, a weird story about Jim. When I grew up in Abbotsford, British Columbia, they have one of the largest air shows in the world. And I used to go every year. Little did I know that in that audience, when I was there, didn't know him at the time, Jim Goodall was there, hanging on out with all his aviation buddies. Let's bring him in. Jim Goodall, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my hero, my friend, and legendary mentor of mine. How are you?
As usual, Dave, the golden voice of Central BC. I'm always delighted to be on anytime, anywhere. And if I were to need another brother, you would be at the top of the list.
Oh, you are way too kind. See, now I know he's full of it. Now I know he's full of it, because when you start inviting me to family, I better start getting invited to American Thanksgiving.
Hey,
I've never been to an American Thanksgiving. I want to go to one.
I'm going. My wife Rosemary and I are going on a road trip starting September 12th. We're gonna drive up Central California, spend the night, and then on the 13th, I'm going to be with one of my few cousins I have left. I'm an old guy, and everybody else, even younger than me, have decided to leave this place, and I'm stuck. But I'm glad to be here. But we're going to be, depending on his schedule, I'm going to call Bob Lazar when I'm in the Bay Area to see if he would like some company the night of September 13th. Mm-hmm. And then what I'm going to ask him to do, if he doesn't mind, is I want to do a video walkthrough with him narrating of his lab. It's a huge building. He has like 10 stations in it. And I want him to just more or less say what he's doing at each one of the stations. The guy's incredible. And his wife, Joy, is an absolutely beautiful sweetheart. I always thought she was in her 50s, and it turns out, she just turned 70.
Oh, wow.
And she doesn't look it. But they're just a sweet couple. Joy was a little bit miffed because their new dog decided he liked me better. I guess, old dogs hang out with old dogs and with new dogs, I guess. So, but it's gonna be fun. We're gonna spend a couple, 3 or 4 days in the Seattle area, maybe 4 days, and then we're gonna take a 1,650-mile trek, and we're gonna head to Minnesota. And I'm going to go spend time with my son James, my daughter Alicia. I have 5 grandsons, and 2 ex-wives live in the area. I only see my first ex-wife. We were together married 20 years. She's like my sister today. I think the world of her, and she knows if she needed me, I'd be right there in a heartbeat. So that's going to be fun. And then we're going to head on back, probably going through Denver, and then off to Albuquerque, and then home. Well, I don't know if everybody who's part of associated with SOR loves Jim Goodall.
No, it's true. It's true. Everybody loves you, Jim. Everybody. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, I guess I don't, but I'm honored by the status. I really am. I'm just me. I'm a guy who doesn't take no for an answer when I'm searching for stuff, spooky stuff. I've been a pain in the ass to the federal government forever. I mean, one of the funnies, and I think I've told this one before to you. In 1984. My boss in the Air Guard, General John Broman, was at a general's conference in Washington, D.C., and all the Air Force, Air National Guard, and Air Force Reserve generals were in attendance. And they're welcoming the newest chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General John Vesey. Well, General Vesey is a native Minnesotan, so General Broman had an inside track on him. And they were General Vesey, went and actually tracked down General Broman, and he said, you have a Sergeant Goodall in the Minnesota Guard, don't you? And General Broman says, yes, we do. He said, those of us in Joint Chiefs just think the world of your Sergeant Goodall. I said, some of the younger officers would like to have him whacked, but we won't allow that. But we decided to give him a nickname because he's been such a pain in the ass to a lot of people. So we're going to give him the nickname Agent Orange. Now, when the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff gives you a nickname, and you're only, at the time I was only a tech sergeant, he's 6, he said it sticks with you. And the nickname was Agent Orange, and it just cracked me up. And
how you do it, my man. I got to ask you, you know, and some of these, I've interviewed you a number of times here on the show over the last few years. And so some of the questions may be repetitive, but we always have new listeners tuning on in who, you know, may want to get one of your books, which can be found at any major bookstore. I own a pair of them. And I'll tell you, Jim, I got to tell you the kind of guy Jim is. Over the school year last year, my son developed an absolute love for the SR-71 Blackbird. And I said, do you want to talk to somebody who's actually sat in one? And he was like, yeah. And so we actually called Jim up, and Jim sent my boy $100. He has $100 book on the SR-71, and he sells out of them because they're just so incredible. And he sent my son a book just for educational purposes. That's the kind of guy Jim Goodall is. He's always looking out for others, and he's absolutely selfless. And I'm still very thankful of that. My son loves that book. He even autographed it for him, which was wonderful.
I couldn't send it to him if I didn't autograph it.
I know, but it was just amazing. Amazing. I actually get choked up over that. I do.
It was my honor, and I'm delighted that I may have. I hope it didn't adversely affect his future.
I would love for him to join the military and become a pilot. I really would, you know. But that's my dream. It may not be his, so I'm not going to push it.
Yeah.
But, you know, as long as he doesn't, you know, start a quinoa factory somewhere, that's all I care about.
Yeah, well, I try to convince my son James to join them. You know, if nothing else, the Minnesota Air Guard. And they probably couldn't deal with 2 James Goodalls in the same unit over the history of the unit. And I try to convince my son's youngest boy, Jackson, to join. He's the only one with a real straight, level head. Warren is too much like me, and I know if he went to basic training, it would be a disaster. And then my oldest, James Warren, who's going to be, he's going to be 40 this year. Those are my babies, my babies' babies. So it's getting up there. And next year, in a little bit more than 6 months, I hit 80.
No.
I mean, I find that hard to believe. I don't know how I've made it this far, but I'm gonna hit the wall at 80. And one thing has nothing to do with airplanes, has nothing to do with anything else we've been talking about. But I've celebrated a milestone this year. In 2005, I weighed 375 pounds. And this morning I weighed 198.
Good for you.
Yeah, I've always been I've been down, 115 pounds since I met you, but
yeah, you probably gave it all to me. Just saying, because
well, you found it underground and you figured it needed a home.
Yeah, exactly it. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I like being known as the weird fat guy.
Well, I mean, I showed Rosemary a picture of me. I was on top of an Ohio class fleet ballistic missile submarine going through the Straits of Juan de Fuca, just like Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington in Crimson Tide. And they were going out on patrol. They were going to go out 60, 80 miles. They're going to do what they call angles and dangles. They've just gone through refit. So they'll go down to test depth, which is 1,000 feet. and then do all sorts of emergency drills. And then at 400 feet, they'll do an emergency blow. And when you have an 18,000 ton, 560 foot steel fish coming out of the water, the bow gets 40 to 50 feet out of the water and then comes crashing back down. And everything has to be secure before you do that. And I said, the place to be is in the torpedo room because that gets the most lift. So I'm hoping to do that. We have to, the world has to settle down a bit before they'll let me on the boat. But I'm very, very well known in the UFO, not the UFO, that one too, but in the submarine community. So, but that's gonna be fun, and I'm hoping when I'm up in Seattle, I'll be able to finish one of my submarine books by getting on the USS Michigan. They're an arsenal boat. They were a converted ballistic missile submarine. They had 24 launch tubes, and they modified it for SEAL delivery, and it became a cruise missile boat. It carries 154 cruise missiles. And
nice.
And it's been spending a lot of time in Guam because the fat Nork, North Korea has been rattling his sword. So they just want to let them know they're there. So I'm hoping I can do that. And the other thing I'm hoping to do is on the next Virginia class submarine that's leaving overhaul at Bremerton, Washington, going back to Honolulu. I want to be on it. That's going to be that'll be for 8 days in a big steel tube. And that should be a fun ride if I can get on it. My age may disqualify me, but for my age, I'm in excellent shape. Other than my knees are shot, I can't see, I don't have any teeth, and I'm deaf. But biologically, I'm still all there.
This is why he's a legend, people. Jim Goodall, our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Jim, I want to ask you, because I know we've had a number of different audience members over the years, rotate through the show and people listening for the first time. You have some incredible Area 51 stories, including sneaking onto the base. You got it. That is my favorite Jim Goodall story.
Well, I have just so you know, I have officially been on Area 51 in 1964, but I didn't know where I was at, and I didn't know it was called Area 51, and I saw absolutely nothing. Because I joined the service in March of '62, and I became a communications and a sort of a technology specialist at the time. And I had a area of expertise in ground-based telemetry and stuff. So I got, in February of 1964, I got a set of orders to go temporary duty to Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California. Now I was stationed at Lowry Air Force Base in Denver, which was an incredibly fun place to be stationed. The women to men ratio was 20-1, because all the young girls from the farms would all end up in Denver, and then they'd had to contend with people like Goodall. But when I arrived at Edwards is still today is in the middle of nowhere. From the main gate to the first building is 18 miles, and you're about 20 miles off of California Route 14. But I arrived there in February 27th or 28th of '64. And I was there to support 3 programs for Category 1 testing. And it was the YC-141 Starlifter, the XB-70 Valkyrie, that was a 6-engine Mach 3 bomber built by North American, and a classified program. Well, on the morning of February 29th, it was a leap year, it's the only reason to be 29th, I guess, but it was February 29th. Something came into Edwards that set off the fire alarm systems on the base. And what it was two Blackbirds flew in from Area 51. They just made a straight in approach, went straight up, went up to the Lockheed hangars, and they taxied in. So they were the rear ends were to the opening of the hangar, and it would hold two Blackbirds. The heat from 4 J-58s, which is just an incredible machine, was so hot it set off the deluge system in the hangar, where it dumped 60,000 gallons of water in the hangar in about 5 seconds. I mean, it's gonna blow. It's gonna flush everything out, and it almost drowned a couple Lockheed guys, and that set off the fire alarms. So I threw on my fatigues. Our billeting was 8 miles from the flight line, so I go running out there, and my truck is gone. Somebody beat me to it, so I didn't get a chance to see anything until until much later. But I had I heard something really, really loud on a couple of days. Wasn't sure what it was. And when you do a lot of overtime in the military, if you're enlisted, I'm sure it's similar for officers, but if you do a lot of overtime, you don't get paid overtime, you get comp time for overtime. So I had a whole bunch of hours and days that I could get credit for. So this is March 10th, 1964. It's 3:15 in the afternoon, and I'm catching the Northrop shuttle. It was a Piaggio, it's Italian executive turboprop. I'm not even sure if it's turboprop, but it held about 12 passengers, and it flew between Edwards Air Force Base and Northrop's headquarters in Hawthorne, California, which is a suburb of LA. And we're waiting there to load on the Piaggio, and I hear this roar. I mean, a roar like I've never heard before. And I could see dust and debris being blown across Rogers Dry Lake. So we're running down the flight line, the taxiway, and I'm looking at the XB-70 test pad, which is next to the new tower. And I saw what I thought at first was the X-15 rocket plane. But I know how big the X-15 is, but people were just way too small. And so all of a sudden they call us, hey, we're loading. So we jumped in the airplane. We take off right over Rogers Dry Lake and we bank over. And I'm looking straight down on the world's first operational Mach 3 black airplane.
Oh, nice.
And they were towing a C-130 in front of it. And they had just shut down the Blackbird, and they were towing a C-130. So I knew how big a C-130 was. Our unit had we had C-130s at Lowry, and I just couldn't wait to get back. So when I got back, I was off all week. It was Easter week in Newport Beach. I had a very good time. Got back to the base at about 2:00 in the morning Sunday night. I had to be at the section at 7, and I walked in there, and the NCOIC hands me my work orders, and it was for the Lockheed hangar. And I walk into the back of the Lockheed hangar, and I'm looking at the rear end of two YF-12 interceptors. That was the fighter version of the Blackbird. And
they had a fight. Hold on a second. As we get ready to go to break, they had a fighter version.
Yeah,
of the Blackbird?
they had 3 of them.
I never knew that. I need to ask you about that when we get back.
Read your son's book. That's just in the SR-71, not the YF-12. Never mind.
All right. Getting schooled here by the legend Jim Goodall here on Spaced Out Radio. We'll talk SR-71, Area 51, and anything else that goes boom in the sky. Spaced Out Radio, second half hour is next, everybody. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear.
Okay.
Good times.
I mean, I had a host one night tell me, I said, I don't give yes or no answers. Oh, that's not a problem. And finally, he just went like this. He said, we're out of time. I said, well, I'm not done. He said, well, you have to come back. I think it was a 2-hour segment too. So,
right on.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Yeah. No, I think the YF-12 is in your son's book because I covered the Blackbirds.
I know the YF-12.
That was the interceptor. It operationally, it would have carried 4 AIM-47s, and the warhead was a 275 kiloton nuke.
Oh my. Okay.
And it was designed to take out Soviet bomber fleet. It would fly out. He would launch it at 85,000 feet. It would go up to about 110,000 feet. And when it was directly over the bomber force, it would aim down and come down, and at about 75, 80,000 feet, it would detonate a hydrogen bomb and literally blow the entire bomber fleet out of the air.
Oh
so
my.
you wouldn't have room for all the kills on the side of your fuselage.
No kidding. I mean, those guys wouldn't even have known what hit them.
No, it would be a big. What was that bright? I mean, that would be it.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, and nuclear weapon. I mean, I'm a warmonger at heart, but nuclear weapons are too unforgiving for this world. So
yeah, true.
And
quick hello here to Country Carpenter, Alice in Winterland, Pony Pong. Good to have you all here. Who else has joined us late here? Let's say hello to Dirty Filth in the chat room. How does he do it both at the same time? I don't understand how he types his name when you never see his hands leave the screen.
He uses his teeth.
He has to.
Yeah.
Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Hey, how come
Troy
Dirty Filth?
SR71, how are you?
How come Dirty Filth wasn't there this year?
He had a bingo game he had to play.
A bingo game?
Yeah, he chose bingo over Reno.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, Jim. It was the championships of high-speed gaming for the elderly, and I couldn't help to get in there and just, wrestle my way through. But I knew nobody of importance was going to be there, so I had to go there and sell cartoons to little people.
Pat Noble, hi back to you. And I know Dave always appreciates the. Is that American money or Canadian money? I mean, if it's American money, you're doing well.
It's American money that then triples up going into Canadian money.
Yeah.
Because, Dear Leader has our dollar. It's a Canadian peso right now.
Yeah.
Algaray over on Twitch. You know what he did tonight before the show? The reason why he's late, he swam 15 miles in a pool today in 38 minutes in order to be here for tonight's show. Totally dedicated.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I swam 100 and 200 meter freestyle in high school.
Well, you're tall. You would have, one stroke, you'd have been halfway across the pool.
Yeah, and I lettered in women and girls in college.
Yes, Jim is also our lady historian as well. Just a pervert he is.
Pervert is when you use the whole chicken.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Oh.
Hey, I was like this.
Some ladies for the rest of us, Jim.
This in high school and grade school.
Mm-hmm. Phil still hasn't even kissed his own wife yet.
Yeah.
And they've been married.
She's like, you know what? Next weekend I'm going out with Jim. I'm like, okay.
All right, guys, hold on one second. Thank you tonight to Area 53 West, FaZe Will, T-Bone, and Noble Patrick for the super chats. And don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. Here we go. All right, here we go. The second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show, you can listen to us on any major podcast network. As well, our archives are always free on youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The legendary aviation historian Jim Goodall is with us tonight. We're talking a little bit about Area 51, and he's going to tell the story about how he actually snuck onto the base. Jim, thank you so much for being here, my man.
Oh, it's always my pleasure. I don't get enough time in the night to. There's a couple of podcasts that I always try to listen to, and they have absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. And but I always try to break away sometimes during the night or whatever, if things aren't too crazy, just to say hello, because I always enjoy anything that you have on the air, anything you're hosting. I enjoy it. It's interesting. But we're going to talk about, like I said earlier, I was on Area 51 officially with the Air Force back in 1964, and I had no idea I was on the in or on Area 51 at the time. I didn't realize that till probably 20 years later. But my first unofficial trek into Area 51, one of my ex-wives, the one I'm not too fond of, I like them all except for her. I spent a lot of time out snooping on our government at the fence line at Area 51 and at Tonopah Test Range. And I had her sew 2 survival blankets together. They're the ones with aluminumized on one side and day glow orange on the other side. And she sewed them together to make a poncho. And then she sewed on with quilting pattern, infrared suppressive desert camouflage, and made a poncho for me. So this is January, just outside the Little Alien in Rachel, Nevada. And I decided I'm going to see how far I can get back there. So I drove up to a certain area near the fence, and there actually is no fence there. There's an indicator saying it's a fence, but there was no barbed wire there. So I know where I'm heading. I'm heading due south, and it's about 30 degrees out. I had the poncho on, but it's sort of pushed back as I'm going. I have my camera. I have a backpack with some water, with a whole bunch of water in it, because it's the one, even when it's cold, you need the water. And I went over 3 or 4 of these runoff areas off the Groom Range, and they were probably a mile apart. So I'm about 3.5 miles in, and I'm beside myself. I'm under this poncho. And the reason I had the poncho, if I hear a helicopter, now you have to understand, I'm hearing impaired. I hear nothing on this side, only about 40% on this side. This is brain tumor. This was airplanes. And, So I started getting real nervous, and I realized that I was sweating so much that there's no way, even I had the poncho on, that would protect me, because I'm raining out so much. They could see the drips of my sweat as I'm trekking through the desert. So I was there in there. I say about 3 miles, and I just had a hightail out. That was my first the first time in unofficially. The second time I'm with John Lear, and I rented an all-terrain vehicle from one of the car rental places there in Las Vegas. It was a Cadillac Seville, and we played Desert Rats with it. I mean, I'm sure if they put it up on a rack and look underneath, it is polished clean from all the sagebrush. And it looked like someone took a ball peen hammer to the oil pan and to the transmission pan. So we were going down. We had just left Rachel, and we turned down 10 Mile Road. That's the one that goes to the bombing range, which is just to the south of Rachel. And it's they call it the $1 Million Road or $10 Million Road, because it was incredibly expensive. It's a 4-lane wide dirt road. I go down there about 3/4 of the way down. There's a place you can no, wait a second. That was my first trek. The second one was with John Lear, and we're going down the main road. As you come off of Hancock Summit, you can see the back road to Area 51. Right. I mean, it goes across the whole. Yeah, you've probably seen it. And there were no signs back then. This is before it got really popular. And John and I just kept driving. We're driving it through the foothills. I can see the lake. I can see the base. And we come up against a guard shack. And a very nice young security guy in black utilities came out. He wasn't holding his M16. He had it strapped on him, and he had his Beretta. Said, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "No, we're bird watchers, and we just saw this road. We didn't know where it went." Oh, and of course, John Lear he's dangerous to be with sometimes. Because of who he is. And so we're talking to this one nice guard. I mean, he looked like he was human. And then we see a guy coming out of the guard shack who was a reject from the NFL because he was too big. He had no neck. I mean, he went straight from his ears to his shoulders.
Are you sure that wasn't Random Guy?
I spent the night at Random Guy last time I was in Vegas, by the way. We had a fun time.
I saw he sent me a picture.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And as he's coming out, he's putting his magazine into his M16 and he's loading it. He put a round in a chamber. Mm-hmm. And John has his camera and he says, "Could I mind if I just photograph your guard shack?" And the big guys say, "If you do, you're going to meet some very unfriendly people and you're not going to like it." So I suggest, and I looked at John, "Time to go." And we just turned around and hightailed out. And as we're going out, it's what, 10, was it 10 miles, 15 miles into the, into the foothills there. We have an A7, we call them sloughs, stubby little ugly fellows. There's other terms for it, but it's a Vought attack aircraft. It was about 25, maybe 30 feet off the valley floor. Now, typical valley is dome shaped, and we're on one side of the dome. We're north of the peak. And this guy came right over us, almost blew us off the road. I mean, it was so cool that you almost can't catch your breath. And then on the other hand, you're so really pissed. that this guy, threatened your life. I mean, if his shockwave, not supersonic, but a bow wave could have blown us off the road. We could have lost control of the car, or maybe that was the intent. I don't know. But he actually disappears from sight, and the dust is engulfing the car, and we keep on driving past all the dust, and we slow down, and we see this A7 going up to about 10,000 feet, and then heading right back into Area 51. So it was that was my third encounter with Area 51 in my life, and I would do it again, but post 9/11, things got serious and got ugly, and they lost their sense of humor. I'm talking about the Wackenhut guards that guard the place, and it's just too bad. But John and I have had a lot of adventures out in and around Area 51, and another place, and any of your viewers can go to it. It's best if you have a car with a little bit higher clearance than my Corvette, because I only have about that much ground clearance. But if you had a sedan or a pickup truck, it would be no problem. You can drive up from Las Vegas or down from Reno. Tonopah's halfway, and you get to Tonopah, grab a bite to eat at the station house there at Tonopah. And then you drive north a little bit, you see US 6, you head out 14 miles and you'll see a big blue and white sign that says Sandia Corporation, Tonopah Test Range, Department of Energy, a bunch of other crap. And on the top is a hydrogen bomb. It's a B-43 nuke with a Nike Ajax booster. And that's where you turn. And it's 18 miles to the main gate of Tonopah Test Range. You can't get in. I mean, even as a reservist, I couldn't get in. Even if I was active duty, I couldn't get in. The place is off limits. You were going to say something, Dave?
No, I'm just
okay.
listening away, my friend.
Yeah. So what you do is you pull in just before the parking lot. You'll see a dirt road. You follow it. You drive on the fence line. You're in public lands. You go down about 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and you can look down and you can see the entire Tonopah Test Range. You can see the 60 some odd hangars there, the 13,000-foot runway, and what you've passed as you were driving by the fence is the old man camp. Now they don't have the large number of people there they did at the beginning of the F-117 programs, because that's where they were based initially. But they're flying spooky stuff out of there. And they're flying, I know they're flying F-117s that are supposed to have been retired in, was it 2012? They started pulling them out of the inventory.
So they said.
But they have, I think they have 12 or 13 that they use for dissimilar air combat, and they use it during red flag. And now those are going to be replaced eventually. They're going to take the 13 of the early, I think, Block 1s of the F-35, which still are still stealth, but they're going to use those for dissimilar air combat, and they're going to paint them in Iranian and then Russian and Chinese markings. So we'll know what we're shooting at.
Well, I heard that the F-117s that are still flying out of Tonopah, their cockpits have been reconfigured to whatever hidden aircraft are at Area 51, because the pilots there, the test pilots, obviously can't fly the special aircraft that we're not supposed to know about out during the day. So they've reconfigured the F-117 cockpits so the pilots get their daytime hours in too.
Well, if you've gone through initial pilot training and you're jet qualified, then you should be able to pretty much fly almost anything after some probably simulator time. And I'm sure the sim is still down there at Tonopah. But it's an interesting place. Now, if they see you on the fence line and there's an airplane coming in, they may do what they call a short final. So you're 8 miles from the fence line to the approach of the end of the runway. You're 8 miles away, and they'll do a real short turn and come down if they know you're at the fence line. So that's the alternative. As you're heading to, you've turned off a US 6 and you're heading down the Tonopah Test Range Road, and you'll see a fence line that goes diagonal to the road. You want to slow down, and there's a dirt road there, or gravel road. Just follow it, and there's some your big round circles. They're growing alfalfa. They're sucking all the water out of the aquifer there. It's more than they need. Yeah, okay. And if you're there, they'll think you maybe had something to do with the irrigation, and they won't be bothered because they'll come right over you otherwise. I mean, the first time, actually, it's the same day I met Bob Lazar. The first time I ever saw an F-117 was at that fence line and at that milepost, and it was. You want to hear how I met Lazar and how I shot my first F-117?
Yeah, we got 7 minutes to go.
Oh God, that's not enough. God, maybe I can do the next segment.
Start with the F-117, and then we'll get into Bob Lazar and everything after that.
Yeah, I called up Lear. I mean, they announced the existence of 2 stealth programs in November of November of '88, and they were on November 11th and 21st, 22nd. The B-2 was on the 11th, and the F-117 was announced on the 22nd. Now, they actually had the B-2 rollout. They didn't do that with the F-117. They had a terrible, just a terrible backlit with a telephoto lens of the F-117 being air refueled, and you couldn't get anything from it. So it's first week of January, I called John Lear and said, "Hey, I'm coming to Vegas. You want to go see if we can find ourselves an F-117?" And he says, "I'm ready." So I phoned him at McCarran, went up to John's house and picked him up. Then we headed north on US 95, and it's 200 miles from Vegas to Tonopah, and we're about a little bit more than 2/3 of the way up. It's a place called Scotty's Junction. And we just passed Scotty's Junction, and an F-117 flew right across the road about 1,500 feet. And I almost crashed the car. So we get into Tonopah, we grab a quick bite, we head down, we go to the fence line, like I just mentioned just a little bit ago. And this is before digital cameras. So I'm shooting with a Nikon. I have Kodacolor 100 and a good Nikon lens. And I can see a big black fuzzy dot, fairly good size with light underneath, and a smaller one, blue and yellow underneath. I figured that's the F-117 and a chase plane. It was a T-38. As it's coming towards me and as it's filling up my viewfinder, now I only had 36 exposure, maybe 37, depending on how I loaded the film. My body started vibrating. I was like 10-year-old boy seeing a naked woman for the first time. I mean, I didn't know if I had any photos that weren't blurred. I mean, I was shooting it at 250th of a second, but I was shaking so hard and I couldn't stop. So it landed. It went by us. I round the thing. I put it in my pocket and put another roll in just in case security stopped us. And we head back. We stopped Little Indian for a bite, and we're heading back to Vegas. And we're going to go to a photomat. that was way back when if you had gray hair or no hair, like some people, not referring to you, you had a lot of hair.
I do.
Yeah. We were going to get down there too late. So when we finally got down there, it was after 9 o'clock. And John says, I have a new friend from Albuquerque. He just moved here. He's interviewing for a job out in the desert. I think you'll find him interesting. A few minutes later, knock on the door. Young man comes in. He introduces himself as Bob Lazar. Very soft-spoken, nice guy. I told him my dilemma. I had this print film. He said, I have a processor at home. Let's go. So off we jump in his car, and we're about a block from Lear's house. And he says, I feel sorry for that dumb SOB Lear. I said, why is that? He said, he's from this world famous aviation family, and the idiot believes in UFOs. So I'm a physicist. If I can't prove it mathematically or put my hands on it, it doesn't exist. And 2 years ago, when I was at Bob's house, I asked him, do you remember what you told me the first time we met? He said, yeah, I didn't believe in UFOs. I said, okay, I didn't hear it wrong. So that's how I met Bob Lazar, by the way. That was the day.
When you are around Area 51, and I know every now and again you make your way out there, there is something about that area, and I've only been out to Rachel, Nevada once, but there's something about that area that just, it's like being in a UFO mecca, waiting for something to happen at any moment.
I mean,
do you feel like that too?
Oh yeah, no, I love it out there. I mean, I get recharged when I'm out there. It's just, I took my son out there. He was 15, and we spent 6 days camped at the north fence line of Area 51. We didn't get hassled by anybody. We didn't see a thing. I mean, I saw some jets. They were F-16s and some A-7s and maybe some hack aircraft. But I didn't see anything that was circular in shape or something that would make the SR-71 look like a Model T. But we're out there, and he felt it. He said, Dad, I feel recharged. And I said, yeah, that's what I love about the desert. And that's why I live in the desert. That's my backyard. But the thing that was amazing, the sky was so clear, and we're about 4,500 feet in altitude. He's reading a book. He's actually reading the Bible. I said, you do that very often? He said, oh yeah, every night, Dad. It helps me sleep. That's great. So, but he's reading it by starlight. It was that bright where you could, I mean, once your eyes were fully adjusted, I mean, you could just wander through the desert and not trip on things. I mean, it was amazing. And that was probably the most wonderful 5 or 6 days I've ever spent with my son. And we've done a lot of fun things together, but it was just him and I. There was no radio, no internet, no cell phone, just him and I.
It's pretty weird how out there in the travels to Area 51, so we got about 40 seconds to go, there is no cell phone service. So for like two hours of driving from the major highway towards Rachel, Nevada, your phones are all dead.
But I was in the top of Brainwash Butte, which is in the middle of nowhere. It overlooks Tonopah Test Range. I had 4 bars, and I got a call from New Zealand.
Well, definitely that call was being listened into.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Jim, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go with legendary aviation historian James C. Goodall. We call him Little Jimmy Goodall around here. Sometimes Uncle Jimbo, depending on the day, depending on the night, depending on the mood. But we love him around here. He's a real hero of SOR, and his legendary stories are perfect for what we do each and every night here on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott, and we continue with Jim Goodall, Area 51 Bob Lazar, UFOs, and more right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Jimmy, we are clear. We'll get Dirty Filth to come show off his.
I love Dirty Filth's Alien Ouchie. That's jeez.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you really have a twisted mind, and I really admire that. That's great. That is great.
All right, be right back, guys.
So yeah, sorry, I went and seen the new Alien film. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
Right,
but I drew a sketch. Go ahead.
I saw the very first one. I was in Boston, and I was actually in Norwalk, Connecticut. It was in I had been in Boston, and it was an AMC movie across the road from a hotel I was in. So I went in there, and it was the first Alien, and I'm sitting back, and I'm really enjoying it. And when the alien popped out, it's a good thing I didn't have to go to the bathroom, because I would have vacated everything. Oh my God. And then when Alien 2 came out, I didn't have the guts to see it. And finally, when Alien 3 came out, I told my son, I said, "Hey, we're going to have a marathon." I said, "What's that?" So we watched all three of them, one right after another. And I got over the effects of the first one on that trip, or on that marathon weekend. So
yeah, the first Alien was
and so many of the sequels have been less than the original. And so there's a lot of times I don't even like sequence. The only sequence that I enjoyed watching were Iron Man 1, 2, 3, not so much, but I enjoyed that. I like Robert Downey Jr. And I love his character of Tony Stark. He might as well just call himself Elon. And
he had the good character arc. That's what made that. It wasn't just a couple movies. It had the whole. Like, I'm not a big Marvel fan, but I've always followed it.
Yeah,
but the whole Tony Stark thing, from when they started with Iron Man all the way to the end, and I had the privilege with my pal Brendan. If you're listening, thanks, buddy. But he brought me to the very last, the second half of the Avengers War, or whatever it was, Endgame. And it was really neat. I didn't expect to see it in the theater. He brought me to like super fancy IMAX and 3D or whatever it was. I'm not a big theater guy. And it was really nice, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, speaking of Tony Stark and Elon Musk in the same conversation, I took Michael Schratt, and then a buddy of mine who was a contract artist for Disney, Joel Christopher Payne. I was invited to tour SpaceX because the book that I sent to Dave's son, my Blackbird book, I sent one to him when his boy was born, and his favorite airplane is the A-12, as is mine. And I got a call the next day after it arrived saying it was his personal assistant, said, Elon has told me to personally invite you for a tour of SpaceX. And COVID came, and that got slowed down. And finally, in February of last year, finally had a chance to get a tour of it. That place is incredible. It is like.
Did you go scribble Did you go in the bathroom and scribble "Jim was here"?
No. I just
crap.
But that
was your chance, man.
I know, but I don't know where he has sensors. But there was and there's no opaque walls. All the walls are glass or Lexan or whatever it is, an engineered plastic. And I was actually watching them build the Dragon capsule, and it was just fascinating. I guess they have a half a dozen of them now, and that they had a whole bunch of Falcon 9s lined up like cordwood. They had the big fairings, the big 30-foot diameter fairings, and right in the middle of the facility, on one side is all engineering and administrative, and again, no opaque walls. And then right on the other side is the manufacturing, but in the middle is a 5-star buffet. And everything's at cost. They have a hot line and a cold line, and all the ice cream you want for nothing. And it's at cost to the employees. They don't care when you come to work, as long as you get your job done. So people are coming. We didn't get out there until 10 o'clock at night, and people were still coming and going. It was just absolutely incredible. And
it's the next IKEA. Wow, I'm hungry now, Jim. Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys, hold on right there. Big thank you tonight to Area 53 West ×2, T-Bone, my man, FaZe Will, and Noble Patrick for the great super chats. Thank you very much for the love and support, guys. Also, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And here we go, everyone. All right, here is hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Talking Area 51, Bob Lazar with legendary aviation historian Jim Goodall tonight. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Daboya. Daboya is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's get to Jim Goodall, continuing on with Area 51, Bob Lazar. Jim, you have seen every piece of love for Bob. You know him personally. You have seen his critics, those people today still making fun of him by videos or by trying to debunk everything, his criminal record, whatever it may be. Yet you stand beside him as a true friend. Why do you do that?
He's real. He is who he says he is. I mean, it doesn't always work because I have a couple ex-wives to prove it. But my mom she was 100% Sicilian, so I have a lot of good Sicilian blood in me. And she could meet some kid that I was hanging with for the first time. All she'd have to do was nice to meet you and give him a hug. And then later on that afternoon or evening, after the kid was gone, my mom could tell me everything about him. I mean, and she was 100% correct. I sense Bob was real, especially when he didn't believe in UFOs to begin with. I mean, he told me on that January night was we're heading over to his house. This is before he went to work out in the desert. He said, you couldn't put a gun in my head to convince me that UFOs are real. And he felt sorry for the SOB Lear, being from his world famous aviation family.
But he wasn't in Area 51 long. How long was Bob there? Like 6 weeks?
Yeah, I think it was longer than that, but he knew something was not right. And come December is Bob Lazar, the original Whistleblower movie or documentary will hit the big screens. And they're trying to get the Sphere in Las Vegas for the world premiere.
Oh, they do that. I'm on a plane.
Yeah, and I'll be there. I will have VIP tickets because I'm also listed as a technical advisor. So that part's fun. I mean, it's but Bob has never come across as anything but just he's a straight shooter. He's not in it for the glory. That's why he was quiet for 25 years. You didn't see him. You didn't know where he lived. But I think that I believed him in my heart without question, and that was cemented in during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I had 27 years of military service. I had 5 years active, a 10-year break, and then 21 years with the Minnesota Air Guard. And during Desert Shield and Desert Storm, they were calling up historians, and that's what I was for the Minnesota Guard. And I carried around with me for quite a few years Bob Lazar's, one of his W-2s from when he worked at S4. And I had it in my back pocket. I always carried it especially when I went to the Pentagon. I knew I had to find where this place was, where that paid him, because there's a lot of departments of the Navy and the Air Force and whatever that you won't find their mailing address, or phone number, or email anywhere in a Pentagon directory because they're classified locations. So it was a very slow evening, or afternoon, I should say. It was a very slow afternoon. There was something going on in Baghdad or whatever, but there was no real activity. My job was to brief fake news. So I had some time to kill. I'm trying to find this location that he worked for on the Pentagon computer system. Nothing. So I decided I was going to go probably, I think it was Naval Investigative Services. So I go wandering in there. I'm in uniform. I have a fresh haircut. My shoes are shined. I have all my ribbons on. I was an E6. I was looking good. Go walking into the office. It says Naval Investigative Services. The door was open. So I walk in there. There's a young Lieutenant JG behind the desk. And he said, "Sergeant, how can I help you?" And I said, "Sir, can you tell me where this Department of the Navy is?" And I give him Bob's W-2. He looks at it, looks at me, and said, "Excuse me, Sergeant, I'll be right back." He goes into the 2-star's office. Now, anybody who's been in the military knows that no Navy 2-star is going to talk to an enlisted puke, especially an air guard guy. So I'm standing out there, and about 30 seconds after he went in, he's out, and he said, "The Admiral will see you now." So I go into the office. I gave him a real sharp salute. And instead of saying "at ease," which would be the normal thing, he said "parade rest." So I'm standing there rigid at parade rest, and he has Bob's W-2 in his hand, and he's trembling. And he said, "Sergeant, I don't know where you got this, but if I ever see your face cross the threshold of my office ever again, you'll be the most sorry SOB NCO in the United States military. Do you understand me, Sergeant?" I said, "Yes, sir." And with that, he took Bob's W-2 and put it in the shredder. Now, if Bob wasn't real, and the location that paid him wasn't real, I would have never seen the 2-star.
Very true. I don't know if you've been asked this before. I know I've never asked you this before, Jim. So I'm going to throw it out there. A lot of people have said or asked on social media, why not ask Bob Lazar to testify in front of Congress?
I asked him.
What did he say?
He said, "Some bitches had the chance 35 years ago, and all they tried to do is destroy me. So they can go to hell," basically is what he said.
So if Tim Burchett or Anna Polina Luna called him up and said, we'd like you to testify in regards to this, you don't think he would?
I think as a patriotic American, he may. To be, to have the UFO community, whoever heads whatever the name of the organization is, they change it on a daily basis. That's to keep us confused. But it'd be pretty hard to turn down, even if you're a little bit on the cynical side because of the way you've been treated. They have really treated him poorly. Now, Tim Burchett, I've met. I was at Dr. Greer's function last year at the National Press Club, the disclosure event, and I was there with the Cousin brothers. And he has since said that they have given him access to some stuff, and now this is from Tim Burchett's mouth, not mine or anybody else's. Apparently, he stated in writing that there are things you do want to see because one, it will scare the hell out of you.
What do you think that is? What don't we want to see?
I don't know if some of the visitors. They may look like the movie Predator. They may look like that. I don't know, but he said you'll have nightmares. Is what he was implying, and it's you can never get rid of that image. So I guess it's pretty horrifying. But they're going to have to do something. It's only a matter of time before one crashes, whether it's a man-made, and I believe 90% plus of what we see in the skies are man-made, especially in the 21st century. Are they all ours? No, probably not. But all there has to be is one of alien origin, and that it proves it without a doubt that they're here. And there's a question, and I can't remember who was. There was a famous person who said it, and I'm not sure who it was. But what is more terrifying, the thought of we're not alone, or the thought that we're the only ones? I mean, I remember when I was at Kit Peak. I'm gonna get some water in a second. When I was a docent at Kit Peak National Observatories outside of Tucson, now they have 22 telescopes. Actually, they have 24. Two of them are radio telescopes, a 12 meter and a 25 meter. I was a docent, and I gave tours of the McMahon Pierce Solar Telescope, the Mayall 4 meter telescope, which at the time it was built was the second largest. This is in 72. And that's been modified to look for dark matter. And then they have the 2.1 meter, which was used remotely by Caltech using adaptive optics to shine a UV laser up into the sky. You and I can't see it, but it's up there. We have very little turbulence, and the air is very clean and very clear in southern Arizona. And at exactly 18 miles or whatever that is, another device looks at the diameter of the distortion of the beam, and it adjusts a deformable mirror 1,200 times a second. And it has the same optical characteristics if it had been taken from the Hubble Space Telescope.
Oh,
so we don't, I mean, it's really something. And for 5 years, their only job was looking for exoplanets. Those are who live in Rio Linda or whatever it is. any planets outside of our solar system orbiting other stars, but in a postage stamp size part of our Milky Way. And it was an area where there weren't very many stars. And over the course of 5 years, they cataloged 8,000 exoplanets. And just before I left being a docent at Kitt Peak, it was at 7,000 feet, and it's up and it's down, it's up and down, because the visitor center's here. You have to go up to the one of the telescopes, then the next tour is up to the other telescope, then back to the visitors, and the third one is over here. So my right knee was saying, yeah, you don't want to do this anymore. So now they've been replaced. But just before I left, they had a soda pop and pizza party at the NOAO. It's the National Astronomy Optical Observatories. It's based at the University of Arizona in Tucson, and they gathered all of the astronomers, all the technicians, and all the docents for a pop and pizza party. And the head guy was from the National Science Foundation. He had just returned from a worldwide conference on exoplanets. And using proven mathematical formulas, he said that based from, these are, every telescope's looking for exoplanets was represented there. He said using the best mathematical formulas to figure what they have, they calculate that there are 2 billion, that's with a B, 2 billion Earth-like planets orbiting a similar sized brown dwarf star as our sun in the inhabitable zone with liquid water. And to quote Jodie Foster's character in Carl Sagan's movie book, Contact, if we're the only ones, what a waste of space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, very deep there for a second, Jim. Very romantic.
Oh, well, I mean, you're looking at the stars. You can't help but have that. And
I do it every night.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's we have crystal clear skies. We have virtually no street lights except on one major thoroughfare, and that's on the other side of town from me. So you go outside, if you turn all the lights off, it gets really dark out there. Well, and the other thing, to sort of qualify where Bob Lazar is, and to add more credibility to who he is, my friend, and I'm blessed to had him as a friend, was the late Ben Rich, the former president and right-hand man of Kelly Johnson. He was the second president and executive director of the Lockheed Skunk Works. And just before he died, I called him up. This is December of 94, I think it is. And about 10 days before he died, and he was at USC Medical Center. He was dying of esophageal cancer. And we were talking about our old friend John Andrews from Testers, who did the Bob Lazar sports model in 1/48 scale, based on working with Bob. But Ben Rich and I were talking about old times, and I knew it was going to be the last time I talked to him. And just before we were done, we were talking about 45 minutes, and I could tell he was starting to wear out. He said, Jim, we have things out in the desert that's 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. And he wasn't referring to Area 51, and he knows what I can comprehend. And he said, if you've seen movies like Star Wars or Star Trek, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort. I said, Ben, you want to expand upon that? He said, no. And just like Ben, he had the nerve to die on me about 10 days later. But I'm honored and truly honored that he searched me out. I mean, we talked once a quarter for 20 plus years. And he's the reason why I was able to sit in the cockpit of a A-12, that's a CIA version of the SR-71, at 33,000 feet at Mach 0.72 inside another airplane. It was a C-5 when we moved it from Palmdale to Minnesota. And then the rats in McLean, Virginia, stole it.
Bird.
Yeah, stole it and put it on a pylon out in the. They took it away from the Minnesota Air Guard Museum because it had limited visibility to the general public, and put it in a place that has no visibility by the general public.
It's always nice, right?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Jim, getting back to Bob Lazar's, we got about 3 minutes to go here before we got to go to break. When he was working on the sports model and all of those different craft, what was his emotions like? We always hear people always ask, what was the craft like? But what were his emotions like working on this stuff? Because that's got to be head over heels insane.
I mean, this is what he put on this planet for. I mean, he was in his element. This is, for all we know, Bob Lazar is an alien. I don't know. The guy's brilliant, but this was something that Edward Teller was aware that Bob had certain talents. People say, well, he didn't go to college. Well, he had jobs that required a college degree. Now today you can get away with in positions that, maybe back in the 80s and 90s, you needed a college degree, and not necessarily in the area of your expertise, but just a degree. Today, not so much. And I'm a good example of that.
But did it bother him? Did it bother him that he was working on this?
Well, what bothered him is they were apparently they give you a pill or something to block your memory when you leave, and when you come back, they give you another pill and that you regain your memory, something along those lines. But something he was bothered probably by the secrecy. This could have profound positive effects on the world if they could develop the energy. What makes this thing fly? What gives it the energy to do what it does? And that could be put into other areas. It's just, I don't know how to. I think Bob also felt threatened. It was about the same time that his wife died, his first wife.
Right.
And there were some unsettling circumstances of her death, and I think that's what triggered him. Plus, he had pulled Gene Huff and John Lear and. I'm getting old. My mind's getting gray. George Knapp from KLAS. He had those guys out on the back road to Area 51 because at a certain time that UFOs flew, and I think they knew about it, and they called them up to which was Indian Springs. It's now Creech Air Force Base. It's on US 95. About 40 miles out of maybe 30 miles out of Las Vegas. And they pulled him, they were in a car near Targan. They put a gun to his head, and I think it was then that he decided he was,
right.
It was time to say adios.
Jim Goodall continues till the top of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Jimmy, we're clear.
How's it going?
Fantastic.
Oh, good. I'm going to go get some water. It'll take me a minute. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave. Hi. That's who I am. Yeah, that's just I saw it's nothing. Oh, my knee is killing me here. I don't know. See here, I'm trying to help out sweet Robbie G right now. We call him Sweets. Yeah. Yeah. Sweet Robbie G is what we call him. How you doing there, Jiminy Crickets?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something. I didn't hear you. So,
Well,
yeah,
I get that.
You know, because Rosemary's Alzheimer's diagnosis, I actually canceled 2 trips because I felt I couldn't leave her alone. She forgets things. She has no short-term memory at all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and today was one of her crabby days, so it was made it even worse. And the tracking thing on her phone, I mean, I have on my phone from T-Mobile. For some reason, it had turned off, had timed out. I couldn't open it up again. It says, incorrect email, incorrect whatever.
Oh, damn it.
And I was beside myself because she was somewhere. So with that thing, I can track her down everywhere, and that's what I need to do. So, and that's for an emergency. That's worst case. So either place, I couldn't be gone for. I'd probably be gone one night, maybe, but not 2. So and on the 11th, September 11th, we're going to be sitting down with her Alzheimer at the Alzheimer clinic, and I know there's some new medications that just been released. I'm going to say I want to try it, and that may improve things. If you can just not get any worse, I can live with that. Now, what I have a hard time even comprehending is for her to wake up one morning and not know who I am.
Yeah.
That's what Alzheimer's does.
Yeah, it's a horrible, horrible disease, man.
And that's why I'm taking her to Seattle. Probably her last visit to Seattle. She lived there for 40 years. Her very best friend in the world is there, and all her very, very dear friends. So,
yeah. Jimmy, we got about 8 seconds here. Big thank you to T-Bone ×2, Area 53 West ×2, Phase Will, and Noble Patrick for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love. And we'll try and sneak in some audience questions coming up here as well.
Oh, okay.
Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, I want to remind you that if you missed more portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Jim Goodall is here till the top of the hour. Jim, we've talked a lot about Bob Lazar. We've talked a lot about everything. You're a man who sits back and watches a lot. What do you think about this whole UFO thing going on right now? Think it's worth it?
Yeah, I do. UFOs aren't. Oh, thank you. That's I'm having a hard time even realizing I'm going to be 80 in March. So that's oh my goodness. Did you get $100, Dave? Or is that Mexican?
That's
money?
pesos.
Oh, okay.
Pesos.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I just no. I feel blessed being as healthy as I am, especially with people that aren't. And for some reason in my head, I know I'm going to live to be 105. So I'm going to be a pain in the ass to a lot more people for another decade or so. That should be fun. I mean, in my mom's side of the family, we've had 7 family members, men, be between 103 and 107. And these are people who had no health care and were, they were fishermen or mafia, one of the two. As my father called it, the Mothers and Fathers Italian Association. So
let's get to some audience questions, Jimmy, because I know you love dealing with people.
Yep.
Let's start off. We got a bunch from Polly here. Jim, do you think we'll ever see Bob testifying someday?
Like I was saying to Dave just a little bit earlier, they treated him so poorly 35 years ago. He said, they can just go to hell. But I think if Tim Burchett and anybody else in Congress were to contact him and say, okay, we'll give you a formal apology on the air. Would you please come and tell us what you're doing, what you have? The thing that is actually going to show the world who Bob Lazar is the new documentary, Bob Lazar, the first whistleblower. It should be out in December. And I'm going to have, once I know all the specifics, I'm going to have some only Jim Goodall images and clips out of the documentary to share with the world. Luigi and I get along well. I mean,
Luigi's a good guy.
Yeah, I missed seeing him twice, and but that's just the way it goes. And for Polly, you have to give me another date other than the 31st of September, because there is no 31st.
All right. Let's go to
Yeah.
Paulie again. Jim, what is for you disclosure, and how is it going to happen in your opinion?
Well, I think the only way is it's going to, you can remove the BS filters and all the other pretend crap that they throw on top of it. You know, the idiots who couldn't make it, asking if you want fries or cheese on that burger, who've been, oh, I'm a UFO expert, and they haven't been out of their mother's basement. I think it's going to have to land at the Super Bowl, as long as it's an open stadium. If it's a closed stadium, it's going to have some problems. It's going to have to be something that is viewed by billions of people. So it'll be the Olympics, which have passed. It's going to be the World Series or the Super Bowl or what's that thing? It's called the Spit Cup. Oh, the Stanley Cup. for you Canucks there, it's going to have to be something. Yeah, it's going to have something like that where it's going to come down, and all the naysayers are going to be there. Everybody saw, oh, this is fake fraud, and we're lying to you, and that's going to come down, and I think that's the only way it's going to lift the veil. And what may happen is there may be at every capital of every significant country, there may be visitors all coming in on the same time frame, saying, "We're here and we're pissed." I think the way we're trashing the world and the people, and I think we do a pretty good job here in North America, or at least Canada and the U.S. You see some of the rivers in fourth world countries. All it is garbage. And that just breaks my heart. I mean, I love the outdoors. I mean, you live in a sort of a paradise unless it was somewhere other than Canada. I'm one of the very few Yanks can honestly say I've been to every territory and province in the country of Canada.
You very much are. You very much are. Jim, do you believe in disclosure though? Do you think?
Yes, I do. It needs to be done, whether it'll be done correctly, whether it'll be done with smoke and mirrors. We deserve an answer. If we're being visited and they say, well, they could be dangerous. If they were dangerous, maybe we'd know about it already. Maybe we wouldn't be here. So I honestly believe that we're going to see something within the next 6 to 18 months. Something's going to pop. Something's going to pop.
Do you think it is?
Everybody in the world now carries this one little very, very effective camera, at least for close-ups. And when one lands at your neighborhood 7-Eleven and you're there pumping gas, you'll be able to take a picture of it. But I also believe that a lot of the UFOs that are being reported, any UFO that has a red and green light on it is man-made. The aliens don't care what our FAA requirements are to flying through our airspace. So if it has a red or green light on it, it's not. Karen Hill, who is the MUFON president here for the Tucson MUFON, she photographed and she sent me the image. She shot a TR-3B
Oh, wow.
in the air in north end of Tucson. I'm outside all the time. Because I'm a user of medical cannabis. I don't smoke weed. I smoke high quality medical weed. It's stinky, and I do it outside.
You are stinky, my man.
Yeah, I do it outside, and as soon as the foundation lights go off, it is dark in my backyard, and you can start seeing the Milky Way. I remember when my son was 15, when we were at the fence line at Area 51. When he said, "Dad," I said, "when we were out today," he said, "there wasn't a cloud in the sky." And now I look up and there's this huge cloud. It's just going all the way across the sky. I said, "James, that's the Milky Way." He had never seen it. He had never seen it. And it was when you're at 4,500 feet, crystal clear air, no light pollution, because all the lights at Area 51 were turned off that night. It's just a sight to behold. But I'm out there all the time. I always have my dog leash with me, and I've never seen anything. And I'm looking all the time. When I lived in Hawaii, even then, they have the least amount of light pollution for a state because they're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But again, everybody had one of these. The only problem, everybody was like this. They're walking down Kalakaua, which is the main drag of Waikiki, and they're like this. They're walking down the beach in Waikiki. Beautiful girls and handsome guys all over the place. They're like this. They might as well be in Newark or in Saskatoon or some other, or
at least you can pronounce Saskatoon properly.
Well, they have to, they'd have to wear shorts in the wintertime up there, and it just didn't work. Apropos of nothing, the first time I was in Manitoba, I'm in Brandon, Manitoba. It's January. The wind was coming directly from the North Pole, right, past Transcona, straight down to Brandon, Manitoba. I was at a Kmart. They're all gone now. And this is when polyester was really big. This is 1972. And I'm going from my car in the parking lot to the Kmart. It's only 100 feet. I didn't think I was going to make it. First of all, polyester, you might as well be naked. The wind goes right through you. And it was 50 below zero, which is almost that in Celsius. I know it is in Fahrenheit. I know minus 40 is both the same in Celsius and Fahrenheit. So we were cold. I mean, I got in there and I was beet red. I couldn't warm up. And I bought some long johns. I put them on. I bought a long john top and a sweatshirt because I had a winter jacket. I lived in Minnesota. You think I'd be used to it? No. So I've been to some pretty god awful places and some beautiful places. I love Vancouver Island. I love the it's a town. It's in the center of the island, but on the west coast. It's a little town that looks like it was designed by Disneyland, Walt Disney.
Oh, you Clulet.
Pardon? Tofino.
Clulet.
Yeah.
Or Tofino.
Yeah. And I've been all the way up to the top of Vancouver Island. I was out on Sprout Lake.
Yes.
I actually got into one of the Philippine Marses, was the general manager of the Philippine Mars operation there.
Yeah, Hawaiian Mars just retired and was moved to the BC Museum, and it actually had its final flight during Air Show weekend.
Yeah. Now the Navy was supposed to get the Philippine Mars. The Hawaii Mars had a glass cockpit. It was all high tech. They had sensors on all the cylinder heads on the R-3350s, I think they were. But the Philippine Mars was the original steam gauge type cockpit instruments. And I had a chance to get a tour of it. I photographed the inside of it. We went around it, and I watched the Hawaii Mars take off and fly around Port Alberni and then come back in, and it was just fun. And it's, for some reason, something fell apart on the Navy, because they had the Philippine Mars painted in deep navy blue, sea blue, with the national signal. But I don't know what they're going to do with it. Someone said that Pima was going to get it. They were going to fly it. There's a couple of lakes out here. They were going, and then they put it on the dollies and tow it in. So I don't know if that could ever happen. It would be cool if it did, but it's a piece of history. I can honestly say I was honored to be able to get on it. They were, at the time, the insurance situation wouldn't allow non-employees to fly in it. Else Gary said I'd give you a ride in it if I could. But I guess there were a bunch of people who got a chance to get a flight on it on its way down to was it where's that museum at they flew into? Is that
Victoria?
Victoria. Okay, I've been to that one. Yeah, they may get our de Havilland Comet that I worked on for 10 years. There's no room for it at the Museum of Flight. Boeing said that when they didn't want it yet, they gave them a 787, one of the heavyweights.
Yes.
And that was the footprint that the Comet was destined to go into. So now they're going to be closing down the Payne Field Restoration Center, and they're going to contract it out. And the Comet may be moved. The interior is all done for passenger aircraft, so it may be moved to the there to Sydney, where the museum is. They're near next to it's in Victoria, right outside the airport, if I believe. And that's where that's going to go. So that they'll have two real unique things in the area. They'll have the Mars, Philippine Mars, and or the Hawaii Mars, and a Comet eventually. And that will irritate me because I have 21,000 hours working on that airplane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I restored the cockpit. The airplane had been landed at Payne Field there in Everett, Washington.
Yes.
And there was an air show about a week after that landed, and a bunch of FAA inspectors went over to take a look at it. This is the world's first jet airliner, and they red tagged it. They said, we won't allow you to fly this airplane anymore in our airspace, but a one-time ferry flight to England, to the UK, to have Dan Air do a D check on you, which would be like $6 to $10 million. The guy paid $50,000 for the airplane with spare parts. So after they abandoned it. For 7 years, the fire department used it for fire training. The chief would go in there, he'd open up the crew door, he'd throw in one of the smoke grenades, close the crew door, call the fire trucks. They'd go in there, they'd open up all the hatches, hose it down like it's on fire. They did that for 7 years. Then they sealed the airplane up for a decade. Right. And then they decided to give it to the Museum of Flight. And the guy who opened up, when it was first given to him, he opened up the crew door and the stench hit him and it knocked him to his knees. There was 2.5 inches of water above the aft galley floor because it was still a little bit this way. There was 2,500 to 3,000 gallons of water with fire retardant in it for a decade. It was its own ecosystem. There was green slime growing down from the top. And I had already, well, I was living in Minnesota. I was moving to Whidbey Island, and I volunteered to help restoring it. And my first thought when I saw it, my God, what did I get myself into? I said, I could use 10 gallons in a match, 10 gallons of gasoline in a match. So I had started the radome. That's the only point. Yeah, that was the logical point. And most of the instruments you couldn't see because they were all corroded up inside because water was coming down from the escape hatch on top also. So I spent 4,100 man hours just restoring the cockpit instruments and the chassis. And then Ross Michael and I and another gentleman finished the cockpit. The cockpit's better than it was when it left the assembly line in the UK. And guys who flew the Comet, brand new Comet, said it was just incredible, the job we did, and it makes me proud. And it irritates me they're going to move it. It belongs at the Museum of Flight.
Right.
But it's not going to make it. Oh, well, it's above it's beyond my pay grade. I can't mess with it.
Jim, with 3 minutes to go, I know we haven't really got into black projects too much tonight, but I'm just curious, what's out there flying that you think that we should know about? Is there an SR-75 like people like your good friend Michael Schratt believe?
I have a very strong feeling that both Aurora, which is a Mach 12, Mach 16 airplane, launched from a mother airplane like the XB-70, which was the tester's SR-75. I do believe that son of Blackbird may be in flight test. I did ask a friend of mine who retired 4 years ago he was a number 3 guy at the Skunk Works. He says, is there anything that you're aware of? I know you can't tell me, but if there anything that you're aware of at the Skunk Works that would get me excited? He said, no. We don't have a strategic enemy anymore. Well, we do now. So the SR-71 was only canceled because of politics. Maybe the SR-72 or the son of Blackbird could come back because of the same politics. So it'll be interesting. The advanced, the new fighter, low-observable fighter is out there. I know there's there's another base. It's up in the upper left-hand, upper northeast corner of Nevada. It's 110. It's 110 miles. No, it's a 90-minute drive from Twin Falls, Idaho. That's all I know. And Michael Schratt has a pilot's license. I think maybe I'm going to meet him in Vegas one of these days, and we're going to fly up there and just fly around the area. Hopefully, we won't get shot down. But there's a big airport there, Jackpot, right on the Idaho-Nevada border, right off of US 93. So there's stuff out there. Just keep your eyes open. Try. If you shoot something, and if it's a pixel, nobody cares. If you can see their guy's face in the window of the UFO, then you have something that's a earth shaker. I think we'll have some sort of disclosure soon. I say within the next 6 months to 18 months. I think it's inevitable. There's too many things happening, and there's an image, and I'll have to find it. It shows a disc crashed somewhere in rural New Mexico, and it was picked up on Google Earth.
I heard that was around Rachel.
No, this is in somewhere in New Mexico. I saved a piece, and I think I did, and it has the longitude and latitude of it, and it's just crazy. But it's a disc. It looks like the sports model. And my goodness, we have 30 seconds.
We do, Jim. Thank you. Always, people can find your books at any major bookstore, and of course,
go on Amazon. Books by James C. Goodall. And
absolutely, Jim Goodall. Everybody, Swamp Dwellers next. Then Tim James with the UFO Report. Hour 3 is Spaced Out Radio coming right up.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Jimmy. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you and love you, my man.
Anytime. If I, and even if you call me in the same day, if I'm retired, I can't travel anywhere now except if I take Rosemary with me. So I'm going to be home 99% of the time. So if you get there, if you get somewhere and you need someone to step in, help, for an hour or two or three or four, I'm more than happy. You're a dear friend. I love you, and I wish you nothing but
thanks, buddy. You
all
mean
sorts
the
of
world.
success. Yeah,
You mean the world to me, my man.
yeah. Well, you have a good one.
You take care. We'll talk to you.
And I'll stick my nose in from time to time just to let you know I'm still alive.
I'm always watching.
And I always get a kick out of the responses. So, all right, my
much
friend.
love, my friend.
You have a good one. Adios.
Take care, Jimmy. Jim Goodall, everybody. God, I love that guy. He's amazing. I'll be right back. All right. Thank you tonight to CS, Aloha Dave, T-Bone ×2, Area 53 West ×2, Noble Patrick, and FaZe Will for the great super chats. Dry Toast, how you doing? Best name on YouTube right there. Necessary Dialogue, Moody Mongol, how you guys doing? We do not have ugly swag. Oob. Richard Wilson, thanks for coming on in. Bob Marley, the Buffalo Soldier, how you doing? All right, here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Daboya. Daboya is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. To this day, I consider this to be one of the strangest things I have ever experienced in this lifetime. This happened a couple of years ago. My friends and I were heading to a music festival by Lake Okeechobee in Florida. We are from Miami, so the drive was pretty decent. The only issue is that we'd have to drive through Central Florida. These are, for the most part, secluded towns and swamp areas. Maybe an hour into the drive, my friend, who was in charge of the GPS, told us that there was an accident up ahead, which was going to add time to the drive. However, there was another route which is a little more secluded, so we wouldn't be stuck in traffic, at the very least. We agreed to take this secluded route since we always wanted to get to the festival on time and early enough to be able to secure our campsite and all that fun stuff. Once on this road, though, everything felt off. Like we had stepped into another time period altogether. It felt like we were in the middle of nowhere. There is no single car on site, no landmarks, no mile indicators, just a road that spans for miles and miles of darkness surrounding us. Welcome to Central Florida, brother. Then, up ahead, we finally started to see buildings. All four of us sighed with relief. Nobody had said anything in the car, but I could tell we had all been tense or worried about this road trip. We entered this town, which I could only describe as a town straight out of the 1950s. It seemed like a movie set or something like that more than an actual town. But here's the worst part. Everything, absolutely everything was turned off. Mind you, it's different than when we passed by late at night. It must have been 9-ish latest, but every single light in this town was turned off. Cars were parked everywhere, but only some were out and about. And then, honestly, the driver of the car was saying, "Yo, what is going on? Where is everyone?" And I'm so glad I wasn't alone when this happened. I have other people who experienced this with me, and I still can't explain it. I wish I could have taken pictures of this place, but I promise you guys, it all seemed fake. Every single part of this town was empty, with old-timey police cars and all that kind of stuff, but nobody was inside any of them. It was like a ghost town, completely suspended in time. I know it's probably nothing supernatural, but it was creepy. Tonight, I went on a walk with my dog. The same route, same time that I always do. I was walking my normal path, and this part of the walk happens to be the darkest part. There's an alley to the left that was absolutely no light. My dog was suddenly on high alert and was barking like crazy. I had my headphones in, but I knew something was wrong, and I looked down the alley but didn't see anything at first. When my eyes adjusted to the dark, I saw a very tall, skinny man standing there. He didn't move, he was just facing me, staring from what I could tell. He was in all black. His pants and shirt were long, which is weird because it had to be 90 to 100 degrees all week. Not to mention it was 10:30 at night, and this man was wearing a giant black sun hat. I kind of froze and went, pretty loudly as I turned my headphones off so I could listen in. The man was standing there, saying absolutely nothing, and now I'm turning toward him, but walking forward. After a second of him being silent and me trying to walk away, kind of chalking it up to a creepy but harmless encounter, he starts to follow me. This man followed me for about 2 to 3 minutes, saying absolutely nothing, just staring at me. When I felt like I could speak, I yelled out, "My dog's going to freaking bite you." That seemed to scare him a bit because after, he slowly started falling behind, and then stopped following me entirely after about 30 seconds. He slowly went onto the sidewalk and went a different way. When he turned around to get away, he had a huge backpack on. It was extremely full. I have a really uneasy feeling about this. I go on this path in my small town almost every single night, and this man just so happens to be standing there in the darkest alley. There's been 3 women that have gone missing recently, and I kind of feel like maybe I'm putting dots that might not be there together, but maybe this has something to do with their disappearances.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another great spooky story. If you want more just like that, head over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller Reads. You can be one of 300,000 plus subscribers that dotes on his stories each and every night. Let's get to Tim in the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, little Timmy James, welcome back to the SOR hotspot in the middle of nowhere, British Columbia. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I was hoping that we could probably keep him on for another hour. That was awesome.
Oh, Jim Goodall's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, very, very, very. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I had a good day today. Good day today. Yeah. I've had to cut out Pepsi again. Yeah. I started feeling a little bit bloated here in the chin area and here in the stomach area, but it's great that we got you here, and I'm feeling a little, I'm back on the water.
Good.
Back on the water.
Good.
Yeah, man. I forgot to turn your mic up.
Hello.
Yeah. There you are.
Oh,
hey,
yeah,
there he is. I could hear you just fine.
Exactly. Nobody else
The
did.
radio audience and YouTube audience obviously could not.
They're like,
Nice rookie mistake, Dave. Good job, buddy. This is why I need a producer.
There you go.
This is why I need a producer. When you try and do everything yourself,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes errors happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kid. No
Mhm.
kidding.
That's what we do around here.
Yes.
We move on the fly.
Yeah.
Move on the fly. All right. Busy time again.
It's crazy. It seems, of course, with Lou's book out, I don't know if everybody's jumping on. Well, I shouldn't say I don't know. I think everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. I think we've got guys that are, like we've talked about before, slamming the heck out of them. And then we've got people that are all like the Me Too movement, I guess, right? So that's great. I mean, more people step out and say stuff. That's awesome. That's really good. No problem with it. But yeah, there was a couple of slams on him today, and it was one of the guys on X, Mick West, basically is, I guess, slamming Elizondo, and he's calling
Again?
yeah,
Again?
and he's calling Imminent a parafiction novel. So, and he complains, right? So many inaccuracies that it's hard not to get secondhand embarrassment, right? It's like, okay, I don't quite understand the statement, but I mean, why even bother saying anything? I don't get it. And then, John Greenwald was at it again today, and he was slamming Elizondo, and he was also basically kind of saying that Dr. Eric Davis is full of baloney too, right? So it was like,
well, so let's talk about that for a second, because there's a lot of people right now trying to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm up to chapter 16 now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm cruising along right now.
I gotta read it.
Yeah. I'm cruising along right now. And the one thing that I noticed is Elizondo is very, very polite and very, very respectful of both James Lukatsky and Eric Davis.
Yeah.
And much to the chagrin, I think, of a lot of people who support Elizondo, is both Lukatsky and Davis have first come out and say, Lou wasn't a part of OSAP, wasn't a part of ATIP. Like, what is he talking about? Like, talk about throwing a comrade under the bus there.
Yeah. And he did. And then we were talking about it, obviously, before the show came on. But then all of a sudden he came out and said, oh, and I've got it here because I don't want to misquote it. He had said that he claims that Lou Elizondo ran his own ATIP, which was apparently separate from the actual AASAP ATIP. So he put a note out and he's texted, and it's been redacted in some spots. But Eric Davis, I guess, is saying, I will be talking to Lou next week to clear up what role he had post AWSAP and
OSAP.
OSAP and pre-UAP TF. So I guess he kind of went, oh, I didn't know there was another department with the same name. I'm not sure what's going on, but he has backed off that statement for sure. And he's going to be clearing it up next week and he will, I guess, report to all of us or whoever wants to listen what Lou said and whatever. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. It's like, it's people shooting them, people propping them up, people telling, I don't get it. It's just brutal.
Yeah, it's very much interesting.
Yeah,
very much interesting. And the fact that Davis has now come out and said, well, oops, maybe I spoke wrong. Maybe I misspoke. Like, it makes me wonder, and I could be reading this completely wrong.
Okay.
But it almost looks like all of these players, whether it's Eric Davis or James Lukatsky, even Elizondo, they're all puppets of a governmental machine. And when the puppet strings are pulled, they say one thing, but when they're loosened up, they say another. And I find that very intriguing. I really do.
Oh, I guess that's one way of putting it, intriguing. I find it frustrating.
Well, it is frustrating, but that would be
right.
correct too.
You're right. I mean, it is in on itself, it is intriguing, and yeah, I mean, and again, we talked about it before the show and stuff. That are there people placed out there that are actually plants to discredit all the whistleblowers? Like, it's so confusing to me right now, and there's just so much information out there. It's almost like I want to step back and let the dust settle before you can actually make a proper assessment of what's actually happening. I still think the book is good from what I've heard, the little excerpts I've read, but again, I can't draw opinion because I haven't read the book. But I'm just surprised about all the little explosions all over the place about this in a negative way. I thought there'd be a lot more positive involved, and there is a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of negatives out there too.
Well, I agree with you on that, and I think that there is a real danger right now of what is being said. What are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand what we're trying to accomplish. And to me, that is something that is a little bit troublesome,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand it. Speaking of whistleblowers,
Mm.
we had a little bit of a leaked tape. I guess it wasn't leaked. It was released
Mm-hmm.
by News Nation.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to play a little bit about this because I think it's important for our audience to be able to hear out of Elizondo his support for David Grush.
Dangerous battle you're fighting, Lou. There are forces, powerful forces, that don't want this story told.
Oh yeah, and they'll go to great lengths to keep it a secret. Look what happened to poor Dave. You know, I worked with Dave at Space Force. I don't know if that's public knowledge, but I'll say it. What the hell? He and I were working the UAP topic for Space Force.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. We're going to get into his defense of David Grush here in a minute.
Right.
But I remember when President Trump announced the fact that he was creating Space Force.
Right.
Now, the way they played Space Force was that they were trying to basically cover America with a missile dome.
Mm-hmm.
North America, Canadians, we benefit from that. Thank you, USA.
Absolutely.
Okay. With this missile dome in case any threats from Russia, China,
Mm-hmm.
Iran, North Korea came across the oceans, and that way we would be somewhat protected. And everybody kind of laughed at Space Force for a while. And then Ted Cruz out of Texas,
Mm-hmm.
right? Ted Cruz makes the dumbest comment ever, where he says, we also have to protect ourselves from space pirates.
Arr.
Exactly.
Oh.
And we made fun of that a little bit,
Sure.
you know, because you have to. When a politician says something that stupid, I don't care what party you're a part of,
Nope.
you have to say something back. You have to respond. And space pirates, I still think we need to make a t-shirt of that on the Spaced Out Radio store. You know,
Oh, now you've said that, I can't get that out of my mind. I just
put
see
in,
these.
put an alien with an eye patch and a pirate's hat on, right?
Exactly.
Space pirates. But
Uh-huh.
now, I remember talking to many people, from Science Bob to Nicole Sackage and
Mhm.
other great interviews we've had about the idea of Space Force. Said this had to include UFOs.
Mhm.
It had to.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they were doing this. And nobody ever talked about it. We only speculated that it had to.
Mhm.
And now Elizondo confirms that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. for
He
sure.
confirms that on News Nation with Ross Coulthart, great investigative journalist.
Yeah.
And so I just found that a little interesting that finally the truth comes out that the United States Space Force is looking for UFOs. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think that's like, to answer the question, that's great. Okay. So obviously they tried to keep it under wraps, and now it's not. And, you know, that's good. There's a positive there. But going back to when they first came out with that, I remember actually sitting there and watching the news conference about it. And I don't know what it was, but I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Right. And I didn't buy into it. I thought it was just a big PR thing and a bunch of propaganda, and look at what we're doing next and that. And then it went quiet, and I assumed that, yeah, this was nothing. Right. But like I say, we've come back to full circle, and it looks like it's moving forward, and they've admitted it. Right. This is what it's about. Cool. All right. So I still don't get how you can talk out of both sides of your mouth. And that's just my look at it. You've got them. No, they don't exist. And then, yeah, we created this to protect ourselves from them.
Space pirates. Exactly. Every time I say space pirates now, you got to go,
R.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. But in this scene, we're going to play little clips of it here from News Nation.
Yep.
We also hear Elizondo really, concerned about David Grush. So let's get to it.
For a very good man, a senior guy, very senior guy, by the way. And this is all in the open. So I mean, this was acknowledged at the time. And he did the right thing. A lot of our servicemen and women suffer deeply from PTSD. And until recently, we were always told, it can affect your security clearance. Don't seek psychological help. And then something happened. Somebody who I respected quite a bit, and thankfully it was General Clapper, when he became the DNI. He said, "We're not going to hold our men and women anymore."
Well, let's get to that, because it was very, very much about David Grush coming out, and then when all of a sudden this two-bit journalist, so-called journalist for The Intercept, got tipped off, and Elizondo will get into that here, got tipped off about Grush's PTSD when he was arrested for literally begging his wife to off him. Okay, because they were having a fight. He was intoxicated. So, one of his best friends that he served in Afghanistan with had just done the deed that so many veterans do. And if there's any veterans listening out there, please get help, because we love you.
Yeah,
we do. And so he had an episode shortly after that. And this two-bit journalist gets literally tipped off by people saying, "Hey, here's a lead for you that you're going to want to investigate."
Yeah.
All trying. He didn't do it out there to do anything but hurt Grush's credibility.
Yeah.
Okay. And we had, after that happened, I had Bruce Claggett on from BMC Communications out of Vancouver. And he's a good friend of mine. And full disclosure, I worked in radio with him.
Right. And
Bruce is probably one of the most brilliant journalists that I've come across over the years. We talked about that. And there's certain aspects of broadcast or journalism you don't cross the line. There's no written code. You just don't cross the line. You don't cross the line on people who off themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Now, if it's a celebrity because their name is famous, that's different.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But average everyday Joe or Jane who's having a lot of problems and decides to take that horrific way out, you don't cover that, because the family doesn't need that.
No, of course not.
Okay. The other thing too is you never expose somebody's medical records.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is what this so-called journalist did. And you don't do that. That is a no-no, digging into somebody's health. Okay. I mean, imagine if you won the lottery.
Right.
Okay. And people, you got the cameras all around you, people interviewing you, and a journalist all of a sudden says, "Hey, tell us about your PTSD from your brain injury."
Yeah.
And you have a brain injury.
I do.
Okay. Imagine that. Like, well, how did you get that? Why are you asking me that question? And that's how it goes. We're going to continue this conversation about Lou Elizondo. We got Tim James here for the UFO Report, and we'll be right back after this on Spaced Out Radio for the final half hour of tonight's show. It's a good one. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
You think you can play that?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Pretty nice and melodic and straightforward. Get Rob G on the bass. Yeah, so that when I was looking at Greenwald's post,
Yeah.
and he actually put a video out. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to see what he's criticizing Elizondo about. It was the colors on the radar. It was like so weak.
Yeah.
As you can see right here, WTH, that's the white hot. So he's got that backwards. So he's lying there. It was like, yeah, it really nitpicky. It was like, dude.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. I'm hungry.
I started that by mistake last night. Jax picked right up on the Taco Bell. I was like, oh no.
Oh God, what I would do for some Taco Bell.
Yeah.
What I would do for a little bit of Taco Bell right now. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Road trip.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long drive for tacos.
By the way, Sweet Robbie G will be filling in for me Monday, Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday as well, as my daytime job is sending me for indoctrination training. That's what I call it, at least. All right. When am I going hunting? The following weekend. The season opens up on the 10th here.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get ourselves some chickens.
Yeah, we're going to go get some chickens. Uh-huh. Me and this guy right here.
Yeah, we're going to go get ourselves some chickens.
I got to go get a... what the hell do I have?
FWID number?
I got to go get that this week or next week.
Services.
Yeah. I got to go there and get my stuff.
Your FWID.
And I also got to go get for my shotgun, for them on the muzzle.
Oh, a choke?
A choke on that.
Yeah.
Just to, I got to get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have one on mine.
Yeah.
I go like this. There's the little guy's head. Come back up till I can't see the head, squeeze, and I normally never get anything except.
Yeah. Oh, Joe, that's terrible.
What's Joe saying?
Why did Princess Diana cross the road? Because she wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah, I've got a couple of really bad ones too.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Oh.
You know, I would show you my shiny new toys, but I don't think YouTube would like that very much.
Right?
Yeah, our channel would be flagged so quickly.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bad Joe Monk.
That's just terrible. Who does that? Apparently Joe Monk. Oh,
it's like Terry Fox jokes, right? He's like,
no, you don't touch Terry Fox. That guy's a treasure.
Yeah, it's
and a hero. Americans, if you want to learn one piece of great Canadiana, look up Terry Fox.
Yeah.
Dude is a hero. God bless him.
No doubt.
He's been gone, 40 years now? 43 years.
Yeah.
43 years
This
been
September.
gone.
Huh?
Yeah.
Man. Boy, I remember where I was.
Yeah, that was a sad moment.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sad moment.
Yep.
I was DJing in a sports bar when Princess Diana news came down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my new RV drinking beer.
Oh, nice.
In my driveway.
In your driveway.
Yeah.
All right. Big thank you tonight to T-Bone ×2, West Area 53 ×2, FaZe Will, Noble Patrick, CS, and Aloha Dave for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Don't forget you can shop at our spaced out radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. None. I've seen it myself. Even sweet Robbie G's underwear look good. There you go. Here we go. All right, we rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. I got Tim James over there waiting to continue the UFO report. But first, I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. We're also on every major podcast network. We're everywhere. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We're talking about Lou Elizondo and David Grush and how the media went after Grush on his medical reports a number of months ago. Elizondo was on X. Well, he did an interview. Let me correct that. He did an interview with News Nation, and they released this portion about his defense of his friend, David Grush. And we're going to play a little bit of that for you here.
Responsible if they go and seek mental counseling and they self-referral because of PTSD, the horrible things that they have to endure in combat, they should not be penalized from their security clearance, right? So what happened with Dave Grush when he did the right thing? He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Some nitnoid reporter gets information from none other than who? Two people from inside the government.
If David Grush wasn't telling the truth, why would a couple people from inside the government, according to Elizondo, and we're taking his word at it, why would they try to disparage Grush like that? That doesn't make sense.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, that's a stumper, actually. I besides regular, like we all know, I would suspect just regular government discrediting and covering up and stuff like that. But yeah, it's stupid move, in my opinion. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it either, because it is something that, I didn't really realize it until that point. And this is probably the third time I've played that through, third or fourth time.
Right.
And that's just what kind of kicked out for me.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And we had thought it was a government leak. All of us suspected it was a government leak because this was a no-name reporter. Okay. This guy had nothing to do with the UFO field.
Right.
Okay. And for him to all of a sudden come out bombastically, and I never get to use the word bombastically. So that's my word of the day, bombastically. It's not the password.
Nope.
It's just Dave's word of the day, bombastically. Maybe we're going to have to do a little chime for, the word of the day.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Probably should.
Ding.
Yeah. But the way I look at it is it was obvious that he was tipped off to it. He got that story too quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I will give him credit. He did his digging.
Okay.
And that's where he came up with the news. He did a FOIA request, got the entire incident from the police department that had been called at that point. Now, Grush is a regular citizen.
Yeah.
At that point. Yes, he works for the government, but he's still a regular citizen at that point.
Okay.
Doesn't deserve that. You don't let your medical records out.
No.
You don't report on medical records. And he got lambasted by a lot of real journalists too.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Major Lee doesn't like what we're talking about because we're talking truth here.
Oh,
so
okay.
He's gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and what gets me about, at the journalist side of it, if that's what you want to call that person, it's like low-hanging fruit, right? No work. And obviously he was fed the information like you were saying, but it's just low-hanging fruit. It's uneventful. Like what's the purpose? What would be the purpose of that needing to come out? It's just it's a disaster all the way around. And I think the guy that took, or the person that was doing the reporting, I think, just like I said, low hanging fruit, didn't have to work too hard for it. Figured he got lobbed a softball. And it's cheap. It's a cheap shot, right? And you don't dig into people's medical records. Like you say, that's not cool.
No, it's not cool at all.
Mm-mm.
It's not cool at all. So let's finish this up. But you can hear the emotion. Like Elizondo's usually talk like a robot.
Right.
This is what Elizondo normally does, because I've interviewed him 3 times.
Okay.
I've talked to him on the phone before. What he does when you ask him a question is he goes absolutely silent for a couple of seconds, because in his training, he thinks about every word you're saying and how he's going to respond to that. But this one, he's showing emotion. This is the first time really we've seen him show emotion.
To say, Dave had
it
some
up.
nitnoid reporter gets information from none other than who? 2 people from inside the government. To say, Dave had counseling. Well, wait a minute. That's exactly what you want someone to do if they need it, because the suicide rate for our men and women in uniform is through the roof. And you know what? No one seems to really give a shit. So this is why we had to change the policy. So
you can hear the emotion there.
100%.
He's mad.
Yeah, I would be too. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Big picture, right? Big picture. A lot of those servicemen. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't get it.
No, me either.
I really don't get it. And he goes on a little bit more about that. And, I just thought it was real. It was real nice to see that emotion out of him after that.
Yeah.
And you know what? We'd always, publicly, it had never been announced that Elizondo and Grush were friends.
Yeah.
They we thought that they knew each other, everything like that. But it's nice to see that, once again, puzzle pieces are coming together, and we know that they've now worked together for Space Force.
Yeah.
At one point.
And showing that emotion gives him some depth, in my view. Him stepping up and doing that, it gives him, he's not the robot. He's not just an information machine. He's human, and he's got some depth to him. And I commend him for sticking up for him.
Yeah, we need to do that. What else you got for us?
Well, we can go into, I've got this date in history again.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So this is 1963, 61 years ago. And this took place in Brazil. So Belo Horizonte, Brazil. So I'm not even going to try to say that again. So 3 friends, they were children at the time. A guy named Jose Marcos, he was 7. His friend Fernando at 12, and Ronaldo, who was 7, were all in the backyard of Jose's house. So they been playing around and doing a bunch of fun stuff and all that good stuff. And then mom come out and asked them to wash a coffee strainer in a cistern. So obviously Brazil and whatever, so they lived on that farm, on a coffee farm. So Fernando noticed a glow coming from the top of an avocado tree. When he looked up, he saw a UFO hovering above the tree branches. The craft, which is spherical in shape and has a pair of antennas on top, was completely transparent. But it held, when he looked inside, he says it held four human-like passengers, one of whom sits in the front of the machine, and it appeared to be at the control panel. The passengers were about 6 feet tall, dressed in spacesuits. They all had one eye. They were cyclops. They're described as cyclops. So the 3 of them are thin and bald, while the other one looks like this is their words, an overweight woman with blonde hair. So the UFO shot out 2 rays of yellow light. and one of the Cyclops appeared between the lights, slowly floating down onto the ground. Once his boots touched the earth, the creature began to walk towards Jose, who is completely unaware of what is happening since he is still collecting water. So Jose hasn't seen any of this yet. All right. So Fernando starts to panic and goes running over and tackles Jose, and Jose falls to the ground. So Fernando gets back up and faces a Cyclops. Now all three boys are on point and watching this being come towards him. So as the being moves his head and makes hand signals, it speaks a few sounds in a strange language, and then turns around and stares back at the UFO. So Fernando, spotting a brick on the ground, picks it up, aims at the Cyclops, who turns around and shoots Fernando's hand with a yellow beam of light. All right. So, and this beam of light apparently came from a crest on the front of his chest or his uniform, whatever. So Fernando dropped the brick, and all three boys become calm and uneasy. They felt like they were frozen for a few minutes. So the Cyclops speaks to them, and then it points one of his fingers at the moon and begins to walk back toward the UFO. Jose asked if he will ever come back. So the Cyclops shakes his head affirmatively, plucks a plant from the ground, and then waves his hand at the UFO, which shoots out two more rays of yellow light, and the Cyclops slowly floats back up into the vehicle. And the UFO takes off eastward and disappears out of their sight. And they never had an experience again. It's like,
right? You know what? That is so weird. These one-off experiences like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you look at this story,
Mm-hmm.
the Kentucky Goblins was a one-off.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I heard another story just the other day. Well, I was reading Creepy Acres.
Oh, okay.
And they had another story on there.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 60 years from April or August 27th.
Right.
About another, you know, one-off story like that too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Sure. No.
So I just, you know, how lucky are people? You get a one-off like that.
Yeah.
And then it never happens again. You kind of just sit there and like, is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Is tonight the night? Because there is, you know, and I hate to throw around the term PTSD because I think we throw it around way too much these days.
Liberally, yeah, we do.
Okay. And there's a lot of terms out there we throw around extremely liberally these days. It probably shouldn't have, but PTSD is high on my list with that. But these people, when you have an incredible encounter like that, you get scared.
Yeah.
You get scared. And it's like when you're really cold, you can be cold, but then when you're internally cold, like your chest is cold, your innards are cold.
Yep.
That's like that type of scared I'm talking about.
No, of course.
And you're always looking over your shoulder. A lifetime of that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could just imagine what it's like being a person. I've never been robbed at gunpoint. I've never been in a bank robbery. I've never, you know, I mean, I've been in a few fights, but who hasn't?
Yeah.
Right. But it's never been to the point where I've been near an ugly situation. Right. Probably the closest would be a car accident.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right.
No.
But I could just imagine what these people are going through when you have this one-off encounter, and the rest of your life, you're looking over your shoulder for something right out of a horror movie, Tim.
Absolutely. And in saying that, I don't know what would be worse, quite honestly, because you've got that encounter where these boys see this happening.
Yep.
They realize this is happening. They're making contact, and this is something that they're not going to forget, right? Or do you want to be that person that doesn't know that they've met an alien being, and whatever, and because there's lots of people out there, as we all know, that have that something happened to me, but I don't know what happened. right? And then you've got the opposite end of the spectrum where they're going, yeah, I can tell you everything that happened. I don't know what would be better. I really don't. I don't know if I'd want to know it all, or if I'd want to struggle with, like, yeah, either way, I think what happens is in some way or another, it would distress you, right? And I don't know which would be better. Knowing or not knowing.
I remember the time when I saw the alien in the forest was Samantha. Same thing.
Right.
Little did I know that it wouldn't be a one and done.
Right.
But it does happen.
Yeah. And you've experienced both. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's not fun.
No.
Not fun. I don't recommend it, especially for those under the age of 30. Right. And let me tell you, millennials, there is no crying rooms on craft. There's no safe spaces.
Do they have bubble wrap?
No, there's no bubble wrap there for you. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, who knows? I'm just a thought. My brain just going around going, I wonder what that would be like. That'd be strange. So there was something else I saw today.
Okay.
And it was just a blurb, and I just thought it was kind of cool. And it's all encompassing because it's about what are these mysterious orbs that turn up when people ask for something to reveal itself. Now, this has happened. I've heard stories, obviously, with Sasquatch. I've heard the same stories with aliens, heard the same stories with paranormal, right? So a bunch of scientists actually, believe it or not, got together and probably got a nice big grant to do this. But what they figured is that higher dimensional entities, due to their access to a broader spectrum of dimensions, try to keep up, we're going to need a thesaurus for some of this, could perceive the quantum states of our consciousness as we perceive visual or auditory stimuli. Okay. The meditative state coupled with focused intention might create a coherent quantum signal that acts as a beacon into a higher dimensional space. So this signal could be then interpreted by these entities, whichever they are, as an invitation or call, prompting them to respond. The response could take the form of an energy manifestation using quantum principles, blah, 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 a bunch of scientific words. These entities, understanding the limitations of our perceptual capabilities, may use orbs as a way to make their presence known, while still operating within the bounds of their dimensional realities. The orbs themselves, being self-contained with non-scattering light, might represent a controlled, localized disturbance in the quantum field. A kind of visual echo, I guess was what we would say, of a higher dimension. I just found that very interesting. Besides trying to read through all of the verbal judo and all the big words, I thought that was kind of a novel way of looking at it. And for me, it's the first time I've actually sort of read that. I thought, yeah, maybe that's the way, that's the way they text message, right? They show up as an orb. So yeah, I just found it very interesting. And I thought, well, that might be something just to read up a little bit more on and have a peek.
Well, we know you love your orbs.
I love my orbs.
You're an orb guy.
Right? I know.
I'm going to throw a little wrench into this.
Okay, do it.
Okay, because summertime is almost at an end now. And in the U.S., a lot of kids are back to school. Up here in Canada, they start school on the week after Labor Day weekend. Yes. And I was watching my boy this summer. He had a very mellow summer. And I was talking to, he's been at hockey camp this week. And I've talked to a few other parents that I know through the years of hockey.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Thomas get up to this year? Oh, not much. Did he have any friends over? Because I thought it was just my kid. Maybe, as a parent, you wonder, where's all your friends?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh no. He sat around and if he did hang out with his friends, it was on video games.
Oh boy.
So it got me thinking, if you were to rewind the clock 30 years.
Okay.
In your case, about 55.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. What do you miss about summertime? About playing with your friends? What do you miss?
I miss getting up in the morning and grabbing that whatever bowl of cereal or toast or whatever the hell I was doing, and then being gone and getting outside and inventing. Like I was a bush guy, so you'd build forts and traps and whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just that unlimited go out and be a nut, right?
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed, and your bike, having my bike. I had to have my bike, right?
Yeah.
And that was it. Like I didn't want to sit in the house.
For me, it was riding my bike.
Mm-hmm.
But then I missed, when it got dark, playing hide and go seek or kick the can.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
For sure.
I totally missed that.
Yeah.
And, even playing like Army with your friends.
Right.
Where, you'd have a big battle. And back then they didn't have laser tag, or they didn't have, even the Nerf guns, didn't do as much fun as they do today, but that's what I missed. And I'm thinking, you know what? I've probably invested $1,000+ in Nerf guns.
Oh, for sure.
Over the years. They weren't used. They were not used.
No.
At all.
Well, what did we do? We were lucky. My favorite thing, like you're saying, playing at night was construction sites and climbing in through the houses they were building and stuff. And they always had, piles of dirt and stuff. You got the grenades, you got the dirt clods, right? You were whipping them and hitting guys in the head. Man, I didn't need a Nerf gun. We just threw dirt and rocks at each other.
Right. I miss those days.
Me too.
Kids are missing out these days.
Yeah.
Video games are fun.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like a good nighttime game of hide and go seek.
Absolutely.
And on that note, thank you, Tim, for the UFO report.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brothers watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Rock and roll, man.
Yeah.
Rock and frickin' roll.
Frickin' roll.
Oh, man. What about taquitos from 7-Eleven right now?
Oh, can't do them.
Complete heartburn city.
Exactly why I can't
but
do them.
so frickin' good.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially their spicy ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mmm.
How close do you think? So on Saturday night, Tim and I had a wood knock happen. We went out to the forest. We had a wood knock happen. I'm still trying to figure out how close that was. Well,
that one was a little bit hard to tell. I think because it seemed like quiet, like not distant quiet. It just seemed, it couldn't gauge it. What do you think?
I was thinking between 30 and 50 yards.
Yeah, that'd be fair. I think that'd be fair.
But it was quiet. Like it was a gentle tap.
Yeah, gentle. There's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yentl. Remember the movie Yentl?
Yes, I do.
Did anybody really watch a Cher movie back in the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You probably watched Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott's a badass.
Yeah, he is.
He's a badass. Yeah. Badass.
My brother worked with him on the set of some show. I can't remember what it was when they filmed it up here. Then they went out and he took Sam over to his son-in-law's tattoo studio in Maple Ridge, and Sam got a tattoo by him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it a mustache?
I have no idea what it was. I don't know.
Dude, I would totally tattoo a Sam Elliott mustache on me. Just the mustache.
He shaved it off.
Horrible
move.
Like,
and he really doesn't have an upper lip.
When you can grow a lip blade that strong,
no doubt,
you don't mess with it.
Nope.
You don't mess with it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, the whole saying, lack of a better term, I'm just going to say it bluntly. You don't fuck with a winning streak.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, for sure.
You don't. And there's certain things you don't do. And when it comes to Sam Elliott's mustache, you know, you don't mess with it. Now, there's a mustache I'd like to hang in the studio.
Yeah.
To be blunt.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I'd pay money for that.
Yeah, you got the mustache and the voice to go with it. Right? Like, you guys got a great voice.
Okay. Who's your favorite voice? Just the voice. Who's your top 2 or 3?
Favorite voice? Oh my God. Put me on the spot. I got to think.
Top 3 voices.
Let me think. And there's so many, right?
I'll give you mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine's a tie for first place.
Okay.
But one edges out the other. My number 1, James Earl Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I could listen to James Earl Jones literally read the directions on how to use toilet paper.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just mesmerized by his voice.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me, probably my favorite actor ever, Morgan Freeman.
Okay, I was going to go there. Yeah.
I love if Morgan Freeman's in it, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
You know, you just know it's going to be good. I think I would love to meet him. Like, if I could meet one movie star, it would probably be Morgan Freeman.
He's super cool. I've met him.
Yeah.
I haven't met him, but yeah, I would too. I like his voice.
My third voice, Sam Elliott.
Oh yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Like,
gotcha.
Like, I drive Fords, and he almost made me switch to a Chrysler or to a Ram truck because of that voice. And I'm like, you.
So Mopar's plan has worked. So yeah, Mr. Sam Elliott.
Oh yeah, that's my top 3.
Yeah. Who else?
Here's one. We'll play this one for the audience here.
Okay.
We'll change it up a little bit.
Sure.
Favorite cartoon character of where did the hell did that go? Hold on a second here. Where did that go? Hold on.
Radio, space.
Okay, so hold on a second here. Where the hell did that go? Copy. Paste. Okay, where is it pasting to? Cut. It's supposed to be on this end. Hold on. Paste. There we go. Overwrite? Yes. There we go. Favorite cartoon characters of the 80s. Like, my top 3.
Okay.
Woody Woodpecker.
That's okay.
Loved Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah.
Chilly Willy.
Can you sing the song? I can.
My
name is Chilly Willy. I sneeze until I'm blue. My feet are cold and my nose is froze.
Achoo.
There you go.
My number 3. And I never really saw him too much because up here in Canada, we got kind of ripped off on cartoons at times.
Yeah.
Love the Captain Caveman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I was
Marvin the Martian.
Yes.
Classic.
Yeah.
I got a tattoo of him.
Oh, do you? Well, you got
I
this
do.
huge picture too. Mine was Bugs Bunny. He was always like Bugs.
Yeah.
I like the Jetsons too. I don't know what the heck that was about, but I really got into the Jetsons.
The Jetsons were cool.
Yeah.
Hillbilly Bears.
Oh, more Hanna-Barbera.
Gland sakes, Pa. Oh, yeah. I think I told you this story about how my buddy's dad spoke like that.
Yes.
Oh,
That is
God.
funny.
God, it was funny.
Yeah.
We would laugh, and then his dad would be, oh. I'm not even making fun.
Right.
Okay. I'm saying it with all, God bless him. He's been gone a few years now, and but God bless him. But I'm not even making fun. That's literally the way he talked.
Favorite corniest show of
Definitely that call was on the mood.
70s.
Hold
6
on,
days I've
I
ever
gotta
spent with
find
my
the music.
so by
I cut
anybody.
this off too soon.
We didn't see a thing. I mean, I saw some
Undo.
jets.
Wait.
They were
Undo. Sorry, what was your
Okay, put it this way. Primetime show,
yeah.
late 70s, early 80s. The campiest show, but you loved it to death.
BJ and the Bear.
Dude, you stole my. You're
Oh.
kidding me.
BJ and the Bear.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That was my answer. Holy cow.
Oh,
That was
BJ
awesome.
and the Bear. 100%.
Yep.
I remember my grandmother,
Oh,
because it used to be on, remember Friday nights used to
Yeah.
be television night.
yeah.
You know, it's like the equivalent of Thursday nights when they had Seinfeld and Cheers.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Friends eventually.
Mhm.
And but I remember
That's awesome.
BJ and the Bear, because I was really into semi trucks.
Me too. That's
Right?
exactly.
Yeah, that was like badass.
Mhm.
BJ. Yeah, and I
And he had a monkey.
I know, like, how do you go wrong there? Get to drive around with a pet monkey all day.
Yeah. Billy Joe McKay. Yeah, I remember
Greg Evigan.
Yes.
And then I remember he was on what?
My Two Dads.
My Two Dads after that.
Where's this coming from?
And and I was like, that screwed me up because I'm like, you're not that guy. You're
Yeah.
BJ from BJ and the Bear.
Yep. Yeah. Sheriff Lobo.
Mm-hmm.
Stacks.
Trucker Andrew.
Yeah.
I had a crush on Stacks.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's see. What else was there? Love Different Strokes.
I
love Different Strokes.
Take it or leave it.
My sisters were really into the Facts of Life.
Oh, there's a good
Yeah.
there's a theme, the theme song to that.
Yeah.
That's been changed around a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that my stepbrother was a huge Dukes of Hazzard fan.
Love Dukes of Hazzard.
He was hardcore. I mean, we all watched it, but he was hardcore to the end.
Back then, when his television season actually had 26 episodes.
Right. Yeah.
None of this 12 episode or 6 episodes.
No, actually, that's a good point. Thinking about it, and yeah, that's right. And then when it ended and the season was over and you had to wait.
Oh, that was just terrible.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And we only had 12 channels? Something like, yeah. Then when I moved up north, when I moved up north, we had 3 channels. So we got KBOS 12 on the rabbit ears.
Yeah.
And then we got Czech TV on 6. But the channel that we always got was CBC, but it was CBC North. So before you could get to a show, normally at prime time, 9 o'clock, it'd be movie night. You'd have to watch 2 hours on how to fix your snowmobile in Inuit. And I'm not joking. So they do the whole show in their language. And every once in a while you pick up on a word. So they'd be standing there, got a carburetor out of a snowmobile, and you'd be like, screwdriver, the clamp, and it was just, oh my God, there's got to be something. And I remember my dad.
And there's no subtitles?
No, this was CBC in
Oh, yeah.
1980, 81. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, they had the hockey graphics going.
Oh.
Back in the days when there was no advertising on the boards.
I know.
The good old days.
The glass was shorter.
Glass was shorter. You'd see all the linesmen, they'd jump up on the boards to get out of the way, holding onto the glass.
You betcha.
Oh, yeah. You expansion Americans don't understand how good it was.
Yep.
Seeing Lonnie Fraser or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to lie in every game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good old days when Scott Steven would catch you in your tracks.
Oh,
how many concussions did that guy dish out?
Yeah.
What, you got Paul Correa, he got Lindros, you got he just
Kozlov.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good times.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. What other TV shows did I watch? Battlestar Galactica.
I did too.
Loved that.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember in 1980, my mom took me and my sisters to Disneyland. We went to Universal Studios, and they had like a Battlestar Galactica scene there with what was the robot dog's name? Oh goodness!
Oh, I don't remember. I'm getting him and I'm getting that show and Buck Rogers mixed up. I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the dog's name is or was.
Oh, what was the dog? Help me out, chat room. Help me out on that.
Yeah, chat room. We're waiting. Loved anything space related. Battlestar was great.
What the hell? Muffet. Thank you, J Truth Seeker.
Nice.
Good call on that. Muffet.
Yeah. Well, we went down. You went down in what, 1980?
Yeah, that was my first time.
Yeah. I think mine was the summer of 70. Summer of 78, I think. It was my first time down. We did the whole big loop and stuff. And yeah, that was super cool.
Here's a funny Daveism.
Mm-hmm.
1 second here. I was created in the Disneyland Hotel. True story. True story.
Nice.
Yep. I was created in the Disneyland Hotel.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Like you had a choice. But yeah, good for you.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Fraggle Rock was terrible. I hated Fraggle Rock.
It's weird because I was too old at that point to watch it. So
and Astro Boy, that was another terrible one.
Yeah.
Or Our Star Blazers.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad cartoon. Oh,
I used to like, one of my favorite shows. You knew if you were a Canadian kid, what came on after Walt Disney on Sunday nights? The Beachcombers.
Oh yeah. All right. The old Beachcombers.
Yeah.
I just want to hear something here.
Dangerous battle you're fighting.
Yeah, that's
excerpts I've read.
All right. Trying to figure out why yours and my levels are so low. That's okay.
Some dozers were awesome. I don't even know what they are.
Mm-hmm. And then Ren and Stimpy came along.
Yeah.
Oh, loved Ren and Stimpy.
My wife was really into those.
I went down to the USA specifically so I could buy Ren and Stimpy fart dolls.
No.
Yes. That is a true story that I actually went down to the US to buy when I was like 20 years old to buy fart dolls.
Huh.
And then South Park came out. I'm probably like 14 seasons behind in South Park.
Mhm.
One of these days, when they finally throw it on Netflix or Amazon, I am going to binge. Do not wake me for at least, don't bug me for at least
Slide
7
the
days.
food under the door.
Yeah. I'm going to be wearing a t-shirt that has so many food stains on it.
Right.
And when I take it off, it'll stand on its own. Did your mother ever tell you that?
Yep.
That if you don't put your clothes in the laundry bin, they'll be so dirty they will stand on their own.
You betcha.
Now, we got to do a show on old wives' tales or old mothers' tales like that.
Oh, God.
Like, where did this crap come up? It's been about 6-7 years, but I actually did a show once on fairy tales.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Like, fairy tales are not. Oh, Rob G pulling out the Knight Rider and MacGyver.
Yeah.
I remember once at when I was I think I was like 11, 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I had my parents drive me out to the Abbotsford airport at like 8:00 at night. It was a fall night because the helicopter from MacGyver was there and they were filming one of the an episode there, and the MacGyver helicopter was there, and unfortunately we didn't get to see it. I was heartbroken.
Richard Dean Anderson.
Yeah.
I was working for the Brick. Yeah, so this was mid 80s. Yeah, mid 80s. At the North Shore, I guess on the north side of the Second Narrows Bridge, they had Daddy Longlegs and the Twin Towers. Remember the club? And
right.
So they made it into a fitness center or whatever, but they were filming there and I had to deliver. It used to be Twin Towers Hotel, and then they changed them into residence. So I was delivering something there, and they were filming it in the front lobby or in the front foyer, whatever it was. And I walk up and the guy stops me. I said, "We're delivering furniture. I got to get up to this customer's." Well, can you go down and into the basement? I said, "I got a 5-ton moving van." No. He says, he goes, "Hang on a second." So he goes, "You're going to have to wait about 20 minutes. I said, "You're going to have to call the customer and tell them they're waiting 20 minutes. Okay. What we're going to do is if you guys want to run this stuff in, as long as you don't look at the camera when you walk by, just go in with your stuff." He says, "We don't have a problem. We got to get," okay, not a problem. So they had to get it done. So me and my swamper are walking by, and I can't remember whatever. We were carrying something heavy. And I'm walking along, and it's still on MacGyver today. There's the ginger guy with the mullet carrying the couch, and I'm doing this, and I go,
"Oh, because they were doing a street scene."
Yeah.
So they just added you to it.
Yeah. But I did one of those, right? I didn't have glasses at the time, but I'm walking. And it's still on the TV show. I've seen it a dozen times.
Nice.
Don't look at the camera. Oh, okay.
Very nice. Very, very nice. You're a star.
Yeah.
Don't you know that Tim's a shooting star? Oh, yeah.
Did you have that album?
No.
I did.
No.
Bad Company.
You realize all those songs are almost 50?
Do you realize that they weren't when I was playing them in a band? Right?
Oh, man. Like when I think of songs that are 50 years old, I think of like Chuck Berry, the Beatles,
of course.
Me
too.
Jerry Lee Lewis. I don't think of, like Appetite for Destruction is 37 years old.
Back in Black, right? I remember when that album came out, and you still listen to it, and as they call it, it's got legs because it's timeless, right? There's certain songs that they'll fit anywhere. But yeah, when you start doing that, it's like, don't start counting the years. Don't start counting the years.
You know what I will say is this. I don't know about you guys, but my feed lately in Reels on Facebook has been filled with Corey Feldman videos.
Mine too.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and they're his guitar solos,
Where he's not really playing the guitar.
He's playing it, but he doesn't play it. Like he's playing it, he's actually making noise with it. But it's an Eddie Van Halen, it's an EVH, right? And he sits up there and he just goes and makes the faces, and he goes right up on the top of the neck, and then he starts hitting the feedback button, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, I still cannot figure out. They're on that tour with Limp Bizkit, the Losers tour or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's doing all his Michael Jackson moves and stuff.
Oh, it's painful.
Tons of it.
It's painful.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know I'm jumping around here while I'm doing this editing thing, but let's just be honest. We need a vote here.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a better mustache? Sam Elliott or Tom Selleck?
Sam.
That's pretty close.
Oh, because Magnum Selleck, to me, he always had the short. It was, you know, Elliott's got the mustache.
Yeah, I would vote for Sam Elliott. I'm reading in the comment, who put Golden Girls in there? Oh, sweet Robbie G put Golden Girls in there. Remember how old they looked when they were on the show?
Yeah.
And we're older than them now.
I know.
You know?
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would never in my life date B. Arthur. She looked like that. She could literally kick the piss out of you if you pissed her off that night.
She reminds me of the old lady in the cafeteria. More mac and cheese.
Oh, B. Arthur.
Oh
my God. I bet you she had a big right hook. Oh, she was military too.
Yeah,
I believe.
Well, did you ever see the Pam Anderson roast?
No.
Oh, well, Pam Anderson and B. Arthur were very good friends, right? And B. Arthur just roasts her like hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, nice. Oh, it was good. Very well done.
Worst show I hated on TV?
Mm-hmm.
Full House.
Yep. My kids.
That's where I realized something real quick. Bob Saget was not funny and never funny.
No.
He's Ray Romano, not funny. Ray Romano's not funny.
Hey.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm just saying that Bob Saget and Dave Coulias, they were not funny.
Cut it out.
It was terrible.
No, well, besides it being super campy, but just personally too. Yeah, Bob Saget, I tried to watch some of his comedy.
He's terrible.
And it was brutal.
I mean God bless him, you know.
No, 100%.
God bless him. There was like 8 people who thought he was funny and he made millions off of it. Okay.
Yep.
But he wasn't funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't laugh at his stuff, that's for sure.
Nobody laughed at his stuff.
Tim Mothman did, apparently.
Well, that's pre-goatee.
Oh, okay.
Right? Post-goatee, Tim Mothman would never, ever watch Full House.
Oh, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Oh,
see, there's 2 different Tim Mothmans. There's pre-goatee and post-goatee. He finally manned up post-goatee.
Right?
Quantum
Leap. Oh, that was filmed in Vancouver too, I think.
Yeah, that's when there was a bunch of shows that kicked Vancouver up.
Yeah.
On the nuts. There was Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Until Johnny Depp decided that he hated Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think he got kicked out of Club Soda not too many times.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the Roxy.
Richards.
Yeah, Richards on Richards too.
Yeah. For sure.
I only got to go there once.
To Richards on Richards?
Yeah.
You didn't. I went there a few times and it was just like, no. I like Club Soda better because they always had a live band.
I was only in there once.
Yeah. 4,000 Stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't mind Club Soda because, like I say, the Yale was my favorite because they always had blues jams on the weekend.
Yeah, that was good.
That was okay. Funny story.
The Roxy was mine.
Yeah. So I was going to tell you this the other night, but they slipped out. So I played guitar from the age of 13, well, till now, right? 13 to 57. So we used to go, like I say, down to the Yale every Saturday for the blues jam. Got to know the staff and everything. So what had happened is when the blues jam ended, a house band had come in. Everybody'd have to leave and then come back in and pay a cover. And we got lucky we didn't have to do that. So when Jeff Healy died, Tiny, the bouncer, is like, there's a big, huge gala happening at the Yale. And you guys, you know, there was about 6 of us that were regulars. Do you guys want VIP tickets to get in? I'm like, hell yeah. So we go in, get all in there. And it's Celebrity Fest and there's regular people. So Colin James is there, like everybody, right? Great. Well, I'm sitting at this long table and had far too many adult beverages by this time. So now I'm all, you know, oh, this is awesome. And I'm, you know, I got beer muscles or whatever the heck you want to call it. So there's this guy that's been sitting next to me this whole time, and he's a younger guy, super nice kid, right? And we were kind of small talking. And then after I'd had, you know, some beers and whatever, he goes, are you a musician at all? And I was like, yeah. I said, I've been playing guitar for, give him this big, you know, I'm awesome. So he's standing there and he goes, yeah, he says, I love playing guitar. He says, and he says, I still get nervous when I have to get up on stage and stuff. And I'm giving him the advice now. Yeah, don't worry about that. You get up there and you just do what you do. It's, don't worry. You'll get over it, kid. There's no problem. I says, and you'll do fine and whatever. And that was basically the end of the conversation. So Colin James is up on stage and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. The kid gets up and walks. I'm like,
yeah.
Remove foot from mouth. I'm telling Kenny Wayne Shepherd, yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah.
I sat at a table in the Roxy one night in 2006 after the NHL awards. And I went in there and it was just a who's who of the hockey world in there. Ended up leaving the Roxy, I think, at 6 in the morning, 6 or 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
I was sitting at a table with Hall of Famer Mark Messier.
Oh, right on.
Chad Kroger
wow.
from Nickelback.
Yeah.
And there was another hockey player with us. And then it was me and my other media friend. And Mike Reno was on stage singing Loverboy tunes.
Right on.
And I literally 15 feet away from the stage.
Right on.
And it was just an amazing night.
No doubt.
Yeah. It was funny because at the end of the night, because the bar Roxy closed at 3. So they said, okay, if you're not involved with the media or the NHL, everybody out except you, all the girls, right?
Yeah.
You can stay.
Yep. I got to sit with Chilliwack and the Headpins when they played the Longhorn and Whistler, because one of the waitresses that I worked with at the restaurant used to work for Sam Feldman agencies, and she knew them all. So she goes, hey, we're off early. We're going up to the Longhorn. We're going to hang out. I got to hang out with Brian McLeod. Phenomenal. And I mean, I don't know how many people know him or don't know him. Fantastic Canadian musician, died of cancer. But yeah, just absolutely one of the great nights. Mike Reno was there. Super cool guy. I've heard different things. It depends on what type of day he's having. But yeah, I found him to be super, super just like, hey. And it was a lot of fun. Oh, the good
Mike Reno, he's 3'11".
Yeah.
It has the pipes of a god.
He does. Loverboys
still rocks a good headband.
He does. Shirt's a little tighter.
The shirt's a little tighter.
Loverboy's opening up for the Sammy Hagar tour right now.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I would.
Yep.
Because Sammy will play the Van Halen songs.
Well, that's what they're
Yeah.
doing, right?
See, I would love to see that.
Me too. Because I guess Alex Van Halen, he's not in, so Sammy says, "Got to do it."
Well, Alex has always been different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, Rob's still naming off. He must have a list of 80s shows that he's going off because he's put about 50 up there right now.
Because Rob was a latchkey kid. He had to have been knowing all these TV shows, right?
Mm. Yeah. By God, what a night. Remember when you only had one TV in the house?
Yeah, I sure do.
And you walk in and your mother is watching Dallas at night.
Yeah.
Or what was the other one? Falcon Crest.
Yeah. Or The Love Boat and then Fantasy Island. Yeah.
I liked Fantasy Island. Didn't like The Love Boat.
Me either.
I remember when I would stay the night on the weekends at my grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
I'd make sure my grandma and I played cards or dominoes or something until Love Boat was over.
Oh, okay. No, my grandmother, Irish English.
Knots Landing. Thank you, Andrew. That was the one my mom loved.
Oh, God.
Knots Landing.
My grandmother introduced me to British sitcoms back in the day. So it was Faulty Towers, On the Buses.
On the Buses was
I've got the
awesome.
whole series at home.
Oh, God. My dad used to love On the Buses. Oh, Benny Hill.
Oh, yeah.
We'd stay up at night just to watch Benny Hill, right? And just hoping.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know.
Come on.
I think every
13-year-old boy.
Every 10 to 14-year-old boy would watch Benny Hill on the weekend.
Yep.
Because just sometimes, not every episode, but every now and again, they would actually, flash. The girls would flash.
Yep.
And you'd be like, oh, man.
And the nice part is the music, if the TV was on, your mom and dad, what are they watching? Nothing.
Oh, I
We're not
love
watching
Benny
anything.
Hill. Loved Benny Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still go on YouTube to watch Benny Hill.
Yeah.
That guy was funny.
Oh, yeah.
So politically incorrect today, but funny.
Mr. Bean, too. I love Mr. Bean.
Never really got into him.
Yeah.
Never really got into him.
I do.
And now all we worry about is, what's happening between Taylor and Travis now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Not I.
Not me. Where are we here? Well, everybody, it's that time of the night where we are going to say good night to all of you. Big thank you tonight for Tim being in the studio, having some fun with us.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't heard from Lou's handlers yet. Hopefully soon. That's if Welcome to the Show Lee allows me to. Because apparently, everybody's a grifter.
Oh.
Everybody's grifting.
Oh.
We're all grifting. You're a grifter. I'm a grifter.
Wouldn't you like to be a grifter too?
I wish I would be a grifter. Then I wouldn't have to work my ass off for so little.
Right. Good point. I didn't see any of the comments of whatever.
I just want somebody to call me a grifter when I finally release my book. Just once.
Got a title for your book yet?
The End of My Happily Boring Life.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. That's what the title will be. If I ever finish the damn thing. I wish they had, and I don't want to pay for it. That's what I'm stubborn about.
Right.
But you know how on the phone you could just press the microphone and kind of read or just say and it types out?
Yes.
I wish I had that. I wish I had that on my computer.
Oh, you should have.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you just dictate and it's voice recognition and it.
Yeah. I don't know if I do or not.
I think that came. I mean, I'm not being a smart aleck, but I think that's been around for quite some time. So maybe there's an app. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I got my book on. I got to go through all my experiences again.
Mm-hmm.
Then I need somebody. Then I need somebody to. Like an actual. I think the guru or Varla are going to just color it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
No doubt.
I have a couple of experiences I need to add.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like Flight 21.
Yeah. Well,
Which reminds me, we might have to go back there soon.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm always in.
I want to go there in the evening, not at night. In the evening.
Yeah. Well, you see how dark it's getting quick. I mean, I know it's only the end of August, but up here it doesn't take long, does it?
No, pretty soon we'll be dark at 3:45, my friend.
I know.
Big thank you tonight to our super chatters. West Area 53 ×2, T-Bone ×2, FaZe Will, Noble Patrick, Aloha Dave, CS, and Trucker Andrew. Thank you very much for the love. Tomorrow night on the show, I don't even know who's on. Hold on. It's somebody. Oh, it's Varla. Varla's back, people.
Yeah.
Varla's back. Tomorrow night, Varley, Venture A. Thanks for the love, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.